Here it is. You can't see what I voted for, because I haven't voted yet, because it'll spoil it. If I did, you'd see. We got 22 votes so far. That's not too bad at all. The results are rather interesting on this poll as well. Rather interesting indeed. The other poll that we had up, Hunter was the clear winner. I'm good, thank you. Happy to be back for another great stream. Oh, you flatter me. Thank you very much for the kind words. I hope you're having a good Monday, Marcus. Might have already said that. I always repeat myself. Alright, everybody. So we're going to just carry on this week with all the cool stuff we've been doing. But I wanted to remind you guys about the poll so we can get some more votes in. Because I'm very interested with this one. Very interested to see which one wins and which one is the underdog. How was your weekend, Rose? Work lurking as usual here. Not too bad. What did I do this weekend? There's a few distractions and stuff at the moment because of house moving. We might be moving before Christmas or after Christmas. We're not sure which yet. So we've had tons of people around looking, but luckily none of it's affected stream yet. We're getting another person coming around tomorrow, which is a day I don't stream, so yay. But yes, it's been hard to be super productive this month because of all that. But we've done we've had some really cool story ideas, so that is something. It's always good. What about you, Asriel? How are things on your end? I hope your weekend was nice. Okay, so I'm going to go off the Twitter for a bit. I'll keep it tabbed up though so that we can remind people about the poll throughout the stream. Right, so some of you might have noticed I did put some of the story notes in the general ideas discussion. You can have a little look if you want to have a proper look, because I know that when we're on stream only certain bits of the page is showing. I've separated them now onto separate pages as well, so it's all a little bit tidier. And so far we've just got the reptile war here, all the things related to that, but it's not yet quite done. Still some more notes to add, and the Stumpy quest as well, and there's still more to come. Still got notes on the Everbloom Forest spell, Lakefall NPCs, trees and fruits as well. So I have a big notepad file open here of all the ideas from all the streams that haven't yet been added. So I might work on adding some more of those this stream, but I also wanted to talk about something really cool as well today. Something new that we haven't talked about yet, which we'll do a little bit later. Weekend was good, thanks. Not too productive, but got to spend some time with the family, so cannot complain about that. Oh, that's nice. Always nice to be with the fam. Oh yes, there's kind of a clue there about what we're going to be doing today with what I've said there, because we've had loads of depressing, sad storylines at the moment, which is always really awesome, but we're going to talk about something that's going to be a bit more comic relief, a story part today. So I'm going to bring that up, because we gotta have our game have lots of different emotions, different moods. It's not going to just make you cry, it's going to make you laugh as well, and everything else. It might make you spooked even sometimes. Okay. Yeah, we had another vote. Huzzah. Okay, so I think we're alright for the reptile stuff for now. We're alright with the Stumpy stuff for now as well, but there might still be a bit more stuff that we add there. Trees, the spell of Everbloom Forest. We haven't got much in that section yet, So that's why I haven't put that one up yet in the Discord, because there's a few more bits to add for that. This one's the interesting one though, 'cause credit to Vandalia for this one, because I don't know if you remember last stream, everybody, but I was a little bit stumped on where to take the trees. We had some like really cool ideas for both of them. We developed them as characters, but I was a little bit like, where's this gonna go? What's the story with these? It felt like there was a dead end and there wasn't really a real purpose for them. But I've got some notes now. I've made a little note section on them. Both of them. Father Maple's here too, but we don't have a sprite for him yet, so I've kind of put full colour sprite still to do for him. And some of these ideas were from what peeps generally had in stream last stream as well, so I'm going to get some of those boxes in actually. Mainly Vandalia, Zava and Met's ideas, it seems, from what I'm looking at here. But one thing I'm going to say is things are kind of changed with it, because we had like a couple of plot ideas with these trees. The first one was it being a carryable item if it gets chopped down, and the other one was, you know, it getting chopped down. And I'm kind of thinking of those ideas being scrapped for this cooler and way better idea. So I'm going to post this one in the Discord in a bit, in the ideas section, the screenshot. And when we got some more of the notes in, and then we will think about some of the other stuffs. I did think about embedding these on the Lore Bible. There's a couple of thoughts I've got there actually about whether we should embed them in the Lore Bible or whether the screenshot method's best. I mean, I always say I like everything all in one place, which is the Lore Bible. But there's a couple of thoughts about why I might not do that, which we sort of talked a bit about last week, but I want to hear people as well, because it would be easier to embed them because it'll just update automatically then, but people outside the community could also see all our notes as well. And although I've made very clear that I am not scared of randos attempting to steal my ideas, because I know that mine are no one's gonna pull it off or execute it that well, more than likely, or even have the motivation to do that and copy all our work. There's still a few concerns I had. It's related to a dream I had last night. I actually had a really, really, really weird, crazy dream. So I'm waiting for someone to ask me what that dream was, and then I'll tell you all. It was bonkers. Okay. I actually put it in my live announcement. It says, ask me about my dream. Still waiting, guys. Still waiting. Okay. Thanks for the votes, by the way, everyone. We got them quite quick on this weekend's poll. Got them quite quick indeed. Okay, so I'm going to start getting some notes in, because we have got some of them in, but not all of them. So tell me about this crazy dream. Wow, I had a dream that don't laugh, it's absurd, but weirdly scary. Even though it's absurd and crazy, it's like something that could happen weirdly now I'm thinking about it. But it's related to Raindrop Chronicles. Basically, EA Games stole Raindrop Chronicles. They plagiarised it from me. Turns out, one of their employees, one of their game designers, discovered my Lore Bible in the dream, and they stole it all, because I thought it was a really cool game and I hadn't released it yet. And they called the game Raindrop Chronicles, actually stole the name of the game. The barrels, Carol the Barrel was in it, but they gave her another name, and they stole all the story elements we had as well. And I was like, oh my goodness, I was fuming. I was like so angry because I hate games, which was a bit of a not surprise it was them in the dream, considering we were talking about them on stream the other day. And things like this happen to us all the time. Yeah, that's why I says it's actually quite scary, because these stories do come true. And I was so mad, I was like venting to all you guys on the stream. I was like, look, EA have stolen our game, what are we going to do? And we did a big this is the ridiculous bit though now. We did like a massive fundraiser so I could take them to court, and I eventually got enough money and I won the case, and they went bust and I became a millionaire. So it had a happy ending. I have a friend whose art was stolen by a big company and printed their t-shirts and put in their stores. Yeah, so because of that dream, I think I've sort of had these thoughts now and again, especially lately, considering I've been brought up in chat a bit more often. But because of this dream, it's kind of made me scared to like publicly talk about this too much now, which is obviously not good, because this is a community project. It's all about sharing the ideas, and let's face it, this isn't what makes it so good is the fact we've all shared ideas and collaborated and bounced these ideas off each other to come up with something even cooler than what the original idea was. That's the fascinating thing about this project and why I love it so much. And then there's the fear that, I don't fear randos coming and attempting to steal stuff because they're easier to handle. I just publicly name and shame them on social media if I find that out. But it's another thing when it's a large company, you know what I mean? That's like almost an impossible thing to tackle. I'd only pick certain things to show the public, in my opinion. Yeah, I'm honestly just scared now because that dream, although it was absurd, especially the bit about me becoming a millionaire and EA being boss, because that's face it, in this reality, that wouldn't happen. I'd be the one that loses. EA would get exactly what they want. So, it's just figuring out what to do now, because this is why I was like, no, we'll just keep the screenshots in the Discord, because then it's only the community's eyes that see. I broadcast this live, so anybody can watch these streams, absolutely anybody. So it doesn't even matter really if I put it in the Discord, because I'm still showing it to the world publicly. The project itself, if we start hiding things and not discussing things, it's no longer really what it was. The vision and the whole collaboration becomes just, it kind of isn't that anymore. Because then it's like, well, what do we talk about and what don't we talk about? We could be scared of talking about anything at all, even like tiny side quest. Like the Stumpy side quest, for example, it's only a tiny part of the game, and it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things because he's just one NPC that's not really linked to some of the bigger things. But it's still a really cool creative thing we've got going here, and it would still pee me off if someone stole that. Keep the main story up public view, yeah. And see, that again is what we've been doing. Like, I do the story so far thing. That's everywhere. It's a focus on the Lore Bible. It's on the YouTube. There's only one story so far video so far. The whole point was that the community could get up to date with all that so that they knew what was happening, so that they know the game enough to give ideas and stuff, because if they don't know, then they're not going to have the knowledge to give ideas, then they're not going to know what the game's about to give those ideas in the first place. Release the public build, monetize it as $1 or so for the first 2 fights, then set a release date for the next 3 builds. National, what you've got there was sort of what I was planning. I'll give you a bit of an insight into what this is in more detail. You know how the playable build, the first one, was available? It was going to be this winter. That's kind of the release date at the moment for the playable build, and it's only going to have main quest 1 and 2 in it, and it'll be any of the new content we had from there will be in future playable builds. I was going to have a Patreon that it would cost not much, maybe, as you say, National, $1 or a couple of dollars to be able to get the downloadable link for the playable build. Like, people wouldn't be able to download it for free because, you know, it takes a lot of hard work to do this, so I need something back from it. And that kind of helps in a way, like limiting who has access to the playable build, because not everybody gets their hands on it then, but still not impossible. I mean, that's my only fear. Big companies, like that dream, it scared the living poop out of me. Like, you know, the thought of EA, a giant like that, a monster of a games company stealing all my ideas. I mean, it's bonkers, but it's not impossible. And it's really scary when you're a solo dev that's poor. So I think it's good to be aware of that, and for me to not be naive to things like this. And I need to, like, educate myself a bit more on legal rights as well, and what would count as plagiarism and what wouldn't, and what I'd be entitled to if that ever happened to me, and if, you know, they get away with it or not. I need to, like, because I'm very naive about law side of things. It's not my thing at all, so I think I do need to figure that one out. Unless the monetized part is wrong. Anyway, hi Rose. Yeah, well, it's a scary thing, and the more this project goes on, like the more story elements we get, the more scary it is, especially when we're so far away from official release, you know. If a larger company jumped on this and decided to, like, steal it, they'd release it faster than me because they've got a larger team. And yeah, I think we've got some really, really cool ideas. So I think people would want to stick at it, in all honesty, because it's really good. I'm really proud of what we've come up with. And yeah, no, I'm a small person, small creator. Unlikely that some people could find me, but again, it's not impossible. People can find me. I mean, you guys found me. You guys found me. And in a way, that's kind of a reason why I like staying small as a streamer. I think I'd be scared if I had a lot of viewers. It would frighten me more because I'd be more paranoid of the chances of someone doing that to me. But yeah, I'm just complete. It doesn't help that I'm completely ignorant of the legal rights that devs would have in this situation. I need to figure out who to get in touch with something like this. I don't know if anyone here in chat knows or has any insight to those sort of things, or if you're just as naive as me, because it'll be really cool to know. So what do you think brought about this stream? I think what brought about this stream is a mixture of things. The fact we was talking about EA a few streams ago, and I was talking about how much I despise them because they're greedy and unethical. So that was one thing. That's why I think it was EA in the dream and not another company, because that was the one I was talking about. And the other thing is what stuff we was talking about in chat last week, like when I was I was kind of saying how if people copied our ideas, that I didn't really care because it's execution that matters. The ideas are just an idea. It's about the execution. That's really what matters here. But in my actual dream, EA took the execution, not just the idea. And that's kind of what was like, holy crap, like the whole game was there, you know, and that's like friggin' scary. It's friggin' scary, guys. Even though it was a dream, like Van said, that stuff comes true. It's happened to someone that Van knows personally. I'm curious, Van, I mean, if you don't mind saying, I'm curious what your friend did in that situation when their art got stolen by that big company. Were they just powerless? Did they just accept it, or did they fight back? I'd fight back. I'll be honest, if that happened to me, if it did, I would like friggin', I'd be calling it out. I'd be calling it out loudly. I'd make sure that everybody who followed me and everybody's mutuals of those that followed me and their friends spread the word and made sure that that person responsible was shamed. I think you should contact a copyright lawyer just to see what you can do to protect your stuff. For USA copyright and trademark, yet for European and global, I'll have to ask. She got lawyers involved, got Twitter involved to spread the word about it too. That's good to hear. Was she successful? That's what I'm intrigued to know. I don't know what the result. Oh no, that's what I asked, and we don't know. Yeah. Because I'll be honest, I want to keep this a community project. I don't want to start. I'd feel sad if I was like, okay, guys, the project's changing now. I'll no longer be making ideas public. Then it becomes just my own creation, not the community's creation. And even if we limited it to just subscribers or Patreons, it's still a risk because those people could still do that to get access to the stuff. But it's something worth considering. I didn't ever want to do that because I'm of the mind that it doesn't necessarily mean that the people have the money and the means to subscribe are the ones that have got the good ideas. Not at all. In fact, it's usually the other way around. Some of the non-subscribers of the stream have often given really cool ideas, but you're opening it up to the chance of more people stealing. And like I said, I don't care if it's some rando. Like, say if some dude is in here and thinking, she's got some really cool ideas, I'm going to steal them for my RPG Maker game, and they make their own RPG Maker game that's a copy. I'd just laugh because I think, well, yours is like, really, it's not, it's going to be crap. No offense. But if it was a large company, I'd just be like, yeah, this is over now. They're going to win over me. They've got a huge team. No. It was a bitter fight. Sounds absolutely horrendous. Well, I think that you should continue what you're doing. Some quests built by the community and some things kept behind the scenes. Once you get a first build out there, I think other companies would be less likely to try and copy it, yes. Because even our first build, when the first build comes out, it's going to just be a tiny percentage of what episode 1 is going to be when it is released. Like I said, it's only going to contain main quest 1 and 2. Whereas episode 1 finalised, the official release will have like maybe 4 or 5 main quests as well as half a dozen or more side quests. So, and it'll just be more polished with more features as well by that point too. And more explorable areas. But yeah, I really don't, I really don't have much knowledge in terms of law side of things, and it's difficult because lawyers are expensive as well. You actually need money to even have a proper conversation with one, right? And I just don't have money. I don't have any money, so I'm like the example of a solo dev who's really vulnerable in this situation. So I think we got to start thinking about it, because it could bite us on the butt later, especially as time. I think we're okay right now. We're small right now. I'm pretty sure EA Games and any other big companies aren't looking at me, but there's always the risk as time goes on for that to happen. And the dream has really shaken me and woken me up to that possibility. Before then, I sort of thought about it from time to time, but not enough to take active action. I'm like, whoa, what do we do now? I'm like that. But I agree, I'm starting to think this is why on the main website, let's get it up. I added a few more notes to the website the other week. Is it loading? Here we go. Yeah, here it is. So Rose is writing an overarching framework for the main plot outside of streams. Certain parts will be unspoiled, so there will be suspense and surprises for community when they play the game. The story ideas that fit best will be curated by Rose and may be included on future polls for voting. So one reason for having parts unspoiled would obviously be suspense for you guys. So you've got something to get excited about that might not actually be revealed to you, which is always fun. But another reason for it is also for my own protection as well as a creator, so that my whole plot doesn't get plagiarised. But I think that will help to a degree, not having the whole thing made public, because the stuff that isn't made public could be the twists and turns and all the stuff that actually makes the game itself awesome and executed and flowing smoothly and making sense as plot. Without the knowledge of these, without knowing what these spoiled parts are, knowing about them, that's the dangerous bit if people knew them, because that's what ties everything together. So if anyone copied everything we've got but didn't have knowledge on those unspoiled parts, then their game would be crap, because they wouldn't have all the secrets that I have. So I think that is one good thing, that little change. It still keeps the nature of the community project, because we're still sharing ideas like we have been doing. There's just certain things that are being kept a secret as well. So let's read. Some quests built by community, some things kept behind the scenes once you... Yeah, and Vandalia, is your friend still making art and is still active in the art community? If it's not too probing to ask. Yes, still making art and selling art. Well, I'm glad that it didn't put them off making art, because some people, it could that could be really discouraging and make someone quit. So that's nice to know. Right, so because we got some really cool ideas here on all these pages. It's like, I'm super proud of this. The tree thing, which I haven't shown a lot of you yet. It's only a couple of us that know about this, because this is all very recently updated and changed. This bit's so cool that I'm almost scared to show it now. If it wasn't for the dream, I probably wouldn't have cared. I'd have been like, everybody, this is what we've got. But now I'm actually scared. And I don't want to be, because that will change the project, maybe impact and change the kind of vision we've built here. And the question I have now to myself is, do we just carry on as we have been and let this little worry in the back of my mind not bother me, and deal with it if it happened, deal with it then and just not worry about it? Or do I take action now and just alter how things are done? That's the ultimate question now at this point. Because the tree part that's written here is very separate from some of the other things we've done, so I could keep this an unspoiled thing for you guys for now, for suspense things. I mean, you can kind of see some of it here, so I might do that, but you can't read it all, even though it was there. You don't know it all properly. But that's the thing, like figuring out what's going to be unspoiled content and what's going to be revealed content. And I'm going to kind of be clever about it now. The Stumpy quest, yeah, that's revealed content now at this point. Too late now, everybody knows this. We were just talking about it last stream. Did we get a host just? I saw an alert come up, but I didn't see what it was. I need to go into my Twitch settings and figure out why I'm not getting those alerts. So I don't want you folks to think I'm ignoring you. That would be the worst. Firearm, how you doing? It's good to see you. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Firearm. What's up, Rain Gang? Vagabond, oh my goodness, you're here. I mean, I don't know if you're busy. If you're busy, don't you worry. I'm just going through some concerns, and I know you're experienced. So if you are around and you're not distracted by anything, let me know, and I'll let you know what that concern is. How goes the story, Cook? All going really good. All really happy. In fact, very happy. So happy to the extent that I'm scared that people are going to steal my ideas, because they're really good. So that's really what I've been talking about in the stream so far, because I had a dream last night, right? It's a very silly dream. Absolutely ridiculous dream, but it's like woke me up a little bit. And it's made me start to think about things. But in this stream, EA Games stole Raindrop Chronicles. They stole the name, Carol the Barrel. They just changed her name. And basically the whole plot, everything was stolen. And it was because one of their game designers found at my streams and all this stuff. And they did it. They ended up doing it for their next title, and I was like, holy crap, I was so mad, and I was getting all angry to you guys who were in this stream, and we did a fundraiser so that I could get a lawyer, and then we sued them and I became a millionaire. So that was a good ending, but probably not what would really happen. So now I'm like, oh my goodness, what if this happens to me? And we try to, I mean, I know that like Vagabonds, like, you know, you've made a game yourself. I'm wondering if you've ever had how you handle that, because I'm really naive when it comes to the law side of things. So I need to figure out who to talk to or how to handle this sort of thing. Oh my god, yeah. Hi Zova. Hi Commando. Puts on that therapist jacket for dream analysis. Sounds like you need a lawyer or something. Yeah, like at the time when I woke up, I was like, that's a really silly dream. What a ridiculous dream. And then I was like, but it actually could happen. So facts are, making a game is very difficult, yes. Which is it, because we had this conversation last week, funnily enough, and I still stand by this thought that I don't really fear random people, like wannabe game devs trying to copy the idea, because you've got to make the game at the end of the day, and people are lazy. And they got to execute it well as well. That's a thing as well. But so in regards to wannabe game devs having a crack at what I'm trying to do, then it's not so really scary for me, that one. But it's the bigger companies that scare me, because some of them aren't always ethical. And if a bigger company ever was like found it and they've got a bigger team, because I'm only one person, they could get theirs out before I get mine out, and then I'm screwed. So it's like, yeah, I need protection in regards to that side of things. Not just this stage of concepting, storyboarding, but the actual process is very intense. Oh yeah, tell me about it. We're learning that, aren't we, guys? A game dev existing who's willing to put in that level of effort to execute something that's not their own vision is wildly improbable. Yeah. So would that be the same, do you feel, if it was a larger studio as well? Or mainly from if it was a small dev? Or a solo dev, or like myself? And I mean, it's a bit cocky to think that a huge giant would want our idea, folks, but in all honesty, I think we've got really good ideas here, and I think people would gladly steal them because they're good. So I am cocky about it, yes. And big companies literally don't care about this kind of game. They don't even make them anymore. Yeah. So that's kind of what I hope, and what I've tried to tell myself, like, oh yes, no one's going to want to take this anyway. And then it does make me feel a bit better. But then I'm like, well, what if? I'm kind of mixed opinions. Hi Rose Queen, hi Neffel. So yeah, I'm sort of like, do we carry on? Do I just put this to the back of my mind, ignore it, and just do what we've been doing? And just deal with that situation if it ever happened? Or do I decide to get a lawyer now and get myself protected and change the project so that it's not going to happen, or less likely to happen? Because I don't like the latter, in all honesty, because I don't want to change this vision we've got here. It kind of is sad, because what's so cool about this is the whole community sharing idea thing that we've got going. I guess don't make a big FPS. Yeah, first person shooter, they would go for that. And yeah, this is like an very old school RPG, and Vagabond, I think, does have a point that's not even that many top company genres. I think that's very true. But I still have that worry in the back of my mind. What if there was someone out there that was a bit unethical? My genuine advice is to ditch his fear, stick to making something unique and personal, and get it done. If there is some hypothetical concept sniper out there, you've got a head start on them, and you can just finish the game and release it. Lawyers expensive and find ways to suck you dry. Yeah, I don't have the funding to get a lawyer, absolutely not. I don't have money, so it's not even possible anyway. But I think that, get it done. My heart's kind of telling me that. The only thing is I'm slow. I'm a slow developer because I'm inexperienced and I'm learning. And I don't want to burn myself out by rushing. I'll be very honest there. I'm not going to go crazy and rush my heart out of fear that someone will get there before me. I want to happily take this at a slow pace and make sure I'm not burnt out by the end of it, you know. So if I was super slow, am I still good? That's the thing. Anyone else trying to snipe the game is also probably a slow dev. Yeah, if they're solo, for sure, if they're a solo dev. But if you want to put out a first build, that's something out there, and less likely folks would want to mess with it, which is coming out in the winter. So that's the thing. Like I say, I'm slow, but we are looking at a first playable build in the next few months, towards the end of the year or the start of next year. So if that's the case, people are less likely to mess with it. Once it's out, then we're good, because there will be something out in a few months. The official release of episode 1 itself won't be for a while yet, because there's a lot of expansion to do on it. But the first playable build will be. This is a story-based game. It's way harder, almost impossible to steal a story game versus a mechanical game. Oh yeah, good point. I think I remember reading about that case that you mentioned, actually, and that was the mechanics that got stolen. And when I have read about cases like this, that seems to be what gets stolen, the game mechanics, not the story. Because in all honesty, stealing story is a really silly, stupid thing to do, because you have to make everything be tied together, you know, otherwise it's just not going to make sense. So people could just steal story bits, but like we said last week, could make a complete botch job of it, because they haven't tied everything together properly. You've also got all those videos to say that you've been working on all this stuff first. It's very evident you were the first one. Timestamps. No, yes, I'm uploading every single VOD to the YouTube, and there's dates on those, so there'll be evidence, like the whole process that I've done. You can see me doing it on the stream. So I'm gonna take your advice, Vagabond. I'm gonna not ever worry about this again. I'm gonna not let it affect the project, and I'll deal with it if it happens. And if it does happen, then I'll potentially think about legal advice then. And as Xavier says, there's evidence that I'm the first one, so hopefully that would mean I'd be the winner. But yeah, I don't think it's likely. Like, this is a 0.01% chance of this happening, I think. It was that dream. It's that dream's fault. That's what it is. It was like really, really vivid. To be quite honest, it was very vivid. I did like the ending though, that I stole all Leo's money, but yeah. Hi Rose, how are you? Hi Kung. Oh my goodness, we're having intense talks today, Kung. Getting all into legal advice and those sort of things. How are you doing now, Kung? It's very, very educational and informative, though. I'm glad we're talking about this. I think it's smart to sort of be aware of this. Take a deep breath, don't stress too much. Besides, you've also got the rest of us that have contributed to put forth our own bits of this evidence and stuff. Yeah, and I know if it ever did happen, I've got a really good community here, so we'll screw them over. we would. So yes, that's funny. Look, I streamed 100% of Karen development, and there is literally another game that's Karen Simulator on Steam, but people easily oh yeah, see Vagabond, that's the thing, your game is so unique, the Karen game, that people are gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna do that, because people are lazy and they can't think of their own thing. It's very frustrating. But as you said, it's very true. You get these wannabe copies coming, these clones, but you can tell which one's the original, which one is the good quality product at the end of the day. And that's kind of what I said last week before I had the dream. I was like, yeah, I don't care about people stealing my ideas, mine's the best. I was really confident, and then that dream decided to creep up on me and say, no Rose, stop being confident. I heard Final Fantasy music in the background. Hi Tarnos, how are you doing? Welcome, happy Monday. Yes, we have lots of Final Fantasy music in the background on this stream. You've come to the right place if you like Final Fantasy. Yeah, I caught up that. Yes, good to have those talks if something would happen, yes. And I think, as Van mentioned a little bit earlier in the stream, Having certain things not be revealed is smart, which on the website we've got that now, guys, in this highlighted text here under story. There's certain parts that will be not revealed to you guys, and you'll only find out once you play the game. And those will be like some of the key plot twists here that we're talking about. Things that you'd be like, oh wow, I didn't know that was going to happen. Which isn't really a big percentage of the story, you know, like maybe even less than 10% would be hidden. I don't know at this point. But having some of it hidden is a comfort, but it's still not going to stop me from having this be a community ideas sharing story thing that we've got going here. Because I think that's really unique and good what we've got here, and it would make me sad to like put sort of guards, too many guards and too many things so people can have access. I hate it when my dreams get super weird. Yeah, I don't really dream too often, but I woke up and I was like, oh my goodness, that was a real ride of a dream. Honestly, I really like that quote you said in the stream last week. It was really inspiring, and I want to think that way. Yeah, I was really proud of myself too. So proud that I put up a tweet about it. And then that side of you comes out and, you know, tries to like make you self-doubt. And it's not that I've got self-doubt, far from it. It's more just the fear of things happening like that, just because we've all heard the stories. It happened to Van's friend, and you know, there's real life cases out there of this happening. But Vagabond makes some very good points that it's usually mechanics that people steal, yes, I think we're fine. Harsh truth, ideas of zero value. It's the See, Vagabond's saying exactly what I said. Oh my goodness, Vagabond is saying exactly. I want to get the tweet up now. And yes, so until I had this stream, where is it? Where's it gone? Until I had the dream, this was my opinion, and I've got subtitles up so you can, well, captions, so you can see it without me playing the sound. So I'm basically, so this was last week, and I'm basically saying word for word what Vagabond said. So this is really what I've got to tell myself, and I can't be like getting worried from a silly dream. And I get hit by so many people, friends, family and strangers, who are like, you should make a game about X, Y, Z. It's such a good idea. And it's ultimately meaningless because that's like a seed without soil, sun and water. Yeah, exactly. And I know Raindrop Chronicles is full of that. You folks saying, oh, this, that, put this in. And some of them might work, some of them might not. But it's like my job is to put those ideas together so they all make sense, like curate the ones that work, make them make sense. I do the whole execution of this thing, so yeah, it's a challenging job, but it's super fun. I have a lot of fun doing it. But even though something like this happened to my friend, hers is art. I think that art doesn't really take nearly as long as game dev as a whole. Illustrations and such don't take as long for a big company to hire a cheap overseas artist to trace, which is basically what happened to my friend. Yeah, really horrible that she went through that. I'm wondering about novelists, writers and that, if it ever happens to them and stuff. But again, you can steal a portion of a story and it'd be rubbish, because you need it to fit. Somebody, for example, could read the Stumpy quest and be like, oh, that's a really feelsy quest, it hits me in the feels, this one does, I like it, I'm going to take that concept. But that isn't gonna be as impactful because they don't have all the backstory of Stumpy or the rest of it that ties this all in together and makes it work. So But yes, that's crazy that someone nicked Karen's simulator, but it doesn't surprise me because there's always people that do that. But yeah, thanks for the chats, everybody. I think we've had some interesting insight. And Vagabond has been in the industry for a bazillion years. And I'm glad that you popped in so I could ask. Thank you very much. Makes me feel better. So what are we doing for the story stuff today? Well, we're gonna just ramble on about it again, and we're going to talk about some new things as well, because I think this week I'd really like for us to start talking about the NPCs and the main quest and bring more story bits in, because we've only really talked about the reptile war and the trees and Stumpy so far, so we've got way more to discuss. So we're gonna start like thinking about it all gradually, each bit. Bazillion years and I'm still nowhere. You seem to be to me. You seem to be doing good to me. Good, difficult to get an end in the late tree, tall 3 turns firm, alive and wise. Possible future calamity, and to give most of the same hints that it would give its item form. Oh, nationals yeah, the cut down ending. So I'm gonna just before I've got your idea there, national. There could be some bits in there we could use, but before we go any further, I want to make clear something. We may be scrapping the cut down the tree idea because a few of you last stream, Vandalia, Zava and Meticulak in particular, were talking about some things, and it led to Vandalia having a really cool idea about what we can do with these 2 trees, Father Maple and Laval Tree. And it might work better to not have the ending of the story where the tree gets cut down. Don't get me wrong, I really liked it originally, but it might not work. It might be unnecessary fluff at this point. It's all here, it's all on this sheet, all the ideas are. So I'm going to pop that into our Discord soon. I wanted to ask you guys though, would you rather see these story ideas we've got here in as screenshots like this in the Discord, or would you rather me embed them on the Lore Bible? What's going to be easiest? They're more publicly available, of course, if they're on the Lore Bible, but like we say, let's not that be a fear now. And if it's going to be easier to have them on, I mean, I know screenshots are always easy to look at, but you can see them as screenshots on the Lore Bible anyway. Stumpy turns the town to a weird nightmare Halloween town. Stumpy's adorable. And yeah, we still need to think about Stumpy fates. We had a few ideas here for if Stumpy lives. Feel free to share some more, everybody, if you want, because we might not want to stop there. Fact is, if he stays alive, National's got a point there. The howling and things at night won't stop, and that could fall into a bit of a scary town, yes. BRB breakfast time. Enjoy your breakfast. Lore Bible is for established lore. Lore Bible is really, but remember, we started embedding the dialogue trees into the Lore Bible. It was something we recently started doing. It is mainly for established lore, which why it probably makes sense to just stick with the ideas discussion channel for now. So I'd have to keep taking screenshots, but it's a few minute job. I wanted to see your thoughts, guys, because I'm kind of one or the other at the moment. Lore Bible or screenshots in Discord. I'm kind of like, which one? But we can continue with the Discord. I'm going to put this in the Discord for you guys to read in a sec, but there's a few notes I might have wanted to add first. But yes, a few things have changed with the trees, and mainly it's because I was kind of struggling on a clear story arc for them. It was a little bit convoluted, I felt, last week with the trees. There was a bit too much going on, and I think what we've got here now on this page, which you guys can only see a portion of it at the moment, thanks to you guys last stream plus Vandalia for coming up with a really cool idea in particular. We've got something very clear and workable here with the trees now, but I haven't really revealed it yet. So I'm going to just have a look at my notepad file because there's a few notes here. Welcome back, Van. I was just talking about you. Yeah, I've got about 2/3 maybe of the notes in. Maybe more, half actually. So there'll be way more of these boxes I need to get in, guys, because a lot of you have said some really cool stuff. National did as well about this Father Lakefall Trees lore. Sorry, you had some really cool lore ideas, so I want to get those in as well. I want to expand on this. Oh yes, it's about the trees. So I've kind of put in here a lot of what you said, Vandalia, actually. So I've given you a little credit note there. But there's a few other bits. It was an interesting idea that I'm trying to find in my notes because it's got so many that it's all lost. Claus, thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're having a good day. But I'm going to go through it with you in a second. I'll pop it into the Discord after. I just want to make sure everything's in here first before I screenshot it and put it in the Discord. Okay, so I think, yeah, this was Zava's idea about the item. And so I'm going to bring that up again in a sec. And then Met said something about having an good or evil advisor item. So that's what we've sort of done. So here we talked about the Lakefall tree. And each Father Maple and the Lakefall tree are both parallels to each other. They work the same way. One is just good and one is evil, and they have the same episode 1 ending, and that will be having this item to take with you on your journey. And you'll get either the good or the evil one. You'll either get the good one from the Lakefall tree, the item, or the Father Maple's bad one, depending on the sort of compassion you've gathered by that part of the game. And Van had a really cool idea to make it dynamic and sort of changeable, for if your hero starts changing from evil to good, then it would change. And there's a little description here on how it would change. And that works really well then, because you could be a bad hero that redeems yourself, or you could be a good hero that gets corrupted. So just because you might be good and have Father Maple's item at the end of episode 1 doesn't mean you'll always be good. So we needed to have that mechanic. I think that's really cool. That long tree conversation we had the other day, yes, I remember that, yes. And I've kind of simplified it a bit. I like the carryable item idea is gone now, because there's something else that's better, which I haven't mentioned yet. And it's still going to work the same way as the carryable item though, and that was Van's idea as well. And there's the one where they get cut down. It's not really going to be, I don't think it's going to work, they're cutting the tree down, if they're going to be such a prominent characters in the game all the way through. And this is why. It's because we're going to use the trees for fast travel, guys. They're good, because every RPG needs fast travel, right? Especially as the world expands. There's a description there on how the fast travel exactly works. It's because their roots run far and deep, and certain roots are exposed to the surface and grow into trees of their own connected to this main tree. And if you touch one of these trees, you'll be able to fast travel to any tree that you touched in the area, if that makes sense. So there's a description there. This was Van's idea. Van thought all this out, and it's really, really cool. I just don't see anything working better. So I'm going to get that in the Discord so everyone can read it properly. But yes, it'll either be Father Maple if you're good, that's your form of fast travel, and Father Maple if you're bad. If there's no cutting down the tree, then we can rewind back to when the tree is a tree and Father Maple is a cool enemy, a teleport system, yes. Father Maple isn't no longer an enemy in the game either, simply because he's become more prominent in the narrative now. Along, just basically very similar to like the Lakefall tree is, because he's very, very prominent in the narrative and story. And Father Maple works as his kind of polar moral opposite. Doesn't mean we're going to I mean, if there's ever an opportunity to fight him, I'm not going to say no if it fits and works. But right now we're putting that battle on a back seat because it's kind of took a different direction. Badass fight, yeah. It's like it gets confusing once your hero has the chance to be a corrupt hero, you know, because Father Maple would technically be his friend then. I forgot my questions. You forgot them. I'm curious what the questions were now as well. But yeah, there's been a few changes, and there's going to be changes, guys. The carryable item idea and the tree getting cut down idea I was attached to, but it just when something else makes more sense, you gotta kind of think, well, we might need to put that aside for a bit to think about this idea. Something about what tools you use for your work. Oh right, that's it. Okay. Yeah, so we'd have to consider the items, what each of these items are going to be for each of the trees. Because there'll be an item that you get, one of his branches can get turned. You can craft it as the hero, probably, I'm assuming at this point. You'll be asked to craft one of his branches into this item, and this is the item you use to do things in the game that are listed here. So that will include teleporting, fast travel, saving the game, and like communicating with the tree. So it'll work the same as the carryable item. Pardon me. This system might be a solution to a problem that does not currently exist. Yeah. Because I didn't even think of fast travel. I kind of thought about it. I thought, are we going to have teleporting in Raindrop Chronicles? But I didn't think about it enough. And I think when the game gets to a certain point, especially as the world gets larger, you're going to want that fast travel system, because it can get very tiresome to go back and forth in open, seamless worlds. You know, it can get very tiresome. So fast travel is a thing, especially because this is a very quest driven RPG where you're going to go back and forth a lot. And I think it's really cool to integrate fast traveling with something that's actually within the world, like the trees, rather than just have it be a random shining teleport with no reason for being there in the middle of the forest. I really like that when it all it's actually part of something that already exists in the forest. Makes it more natural and makes the world and lore more interesting. Literally nothing for planning, yes. All that travel made certain classic series famous, both Chrono Trigger and Zelda franchise, and your world is absolutely stunning. Raindrop Chronicles is stunning? You think Raindrop Chronicles is stunning, National? Yes, yeah, thank you very much. But yes, so I'm trying to think now. So all that travel made, so Chrono Trigger and Zelda. Remind me what their fast travel systems were now. I mean, I've played Chrono Trigger twice. I'm trying to remember now. I mean, a lot of the Japanese RPGs are very linear. You kind of just go from place to place and you don't revisit the old places ever. There's not really a quest system in the older Final Fantasies, for example. Either it's more like just go from place to place, and a linear approach, which is totally cool. But Raindrop Chronicles is taking more of a Western RPG inspired questing, where it's more open and you kind of go back and forth a lot. Quests will trigger depending on what you've done and where you are in the story. I think naturally, because it's a choice-based game, very affected by morals, it's taken a very sort of Western inspiration there. And that's kind of the design we're going for here. And I think, yeah, that fast travel is absolutely necessary. They have none. You get the cool epoch eventually in the horse, but even in older ones, you just hoof it yourself. Yeah, I can imagine us walking, like the first walk through Lakefall and Everbloom. We wouldn't need fast travel for that, which is why we wouldn't get the item until near the end of episode 1, because realistically at that point, that's when things are going to expand more. We'll get the next region, and then there'll be other regions in the future episodes, and it's going to be a big world. It's far more open than a lot of the classics. Love being able to go back. I love the nostalgia, yeah. And so it's like each of these RPGs of different designs. You've got some that have got the more linear, just go through without going back, and it's like a sort of corridor in a way. But then you've got RPGs that are more of an open world where you can go back and forth a lot. And that the latter is definitely what Raindrop Chronicles is becoming, which it was inevitable really, because it's because we've took so many of those features of branches, different quests. Certain quests will be available if you've got certain morals, etc. It's not a linear game. RIP. Okay, so that's to make clear this game, although, like, you know, I'm a nerd for your JRPGs, Final Fantasy, it's going to be more Western than that for sure, more open world, well, the illusion of open world, should I say. It's pretty hard to actually do full on open world with this sort of game, but you can kind of give that illusion of it. Right, so I'm going to get this saved soon. I don't think we've got any ideas yet about what the item could be, but I'm going to get a box in. You just copy and paste one of these and get what Zava said in here. This was for Father Maple in particular. But it could work the same way for the Lakefall Trees item. Arrow's a little bit weird. What's that? Yeah, it's because I want to sort of link it to that item thing, but it's been a bit of a pain, so I might have to just leave that. I think we have the potential to make these items really cool. Each for Father Maple and the Lakefall Tree. But yes, in regards to the battle against Father Maple, realistically he can't really die. I mean, let's think about this here. This is a really thick, tough tree that has probably been there not much less time than the Lakefall Tree. A group of amateur characters that are like basically level 1 at this point. I know. I mean, it worked at the time, but if we're gonna go for having this sort of moral thing where it's gonna switch the tree that's your mental, depending on your morals, then it makes more sense not to kill him off, or vice versa. Right, was there anything else to get in? There was loads, there's absolutely loads to get in, because there's some from the other streams as well. Did we put where? Yeah, we haven't put yet where Father Maple is. So I'm going to just put that description here. So, he stands in a transition zone between Everbloom Forest and the farm. Because we know there's a farm next to Everbloom Forest because from Carol's flashback. Just having a fast travel option like in Elder Scrolls and Fallout is fine. Why not have hopping into the back of the carriage? Probably because it's very... that's what everybody does. We want to do something different. I think we got something really unique here with using trees as the fast travel method. Binary, thank you so much for the sub. I appreciate that. 9 months. 9 months. That's crazy. How you doing, Binary? Thank you very much. Make the world feel connected. I remember you saying that having an item without the tree getting killed robbed the story of impact. I'm trying to remember the context of that now. Maybe with whatever I meant then, yes it did. But the tree was always going to get killed at that point in time. But it's not anymore. Doing good yourself, doing fine. But guys, just remember, I'm the creator here. I get to decide. So, I'll always create and have control of how things go. If someone in the community has some, tells me something, has an idea for something, and I think, oh, that's honestly really awesome, and I personally like it myself, I'm gonna very likely go ahead with it if I feel it fits and works and it fits with this vision that I'm imagining. If it doesn't fit with the vision, then I probably won't. Likely not, because this game is mine. I'm the one who's building it. It's very important. This vision we've got is something that I connect with and get a lot of joy from. Otherwise, let's be honest here, real talk. If I'm sort of doing things that I'm not personally into, or that many other games have done that I don't really feel that I'm not that passionate about, I'm probably going to give up because it'll get boring for me. So it's very important that fire keeps burning. Sweet. This is back onto the fishing mini game stuff last week, because we had a conversation about that, and I've said, Raindrop Chronicles ain't gonna have any fishing in it. Made that clear. Just personally, because I don't like it, and a lot of people do. It's very, very popular, extremely popular. So if I wanted to appeal to the masses, I should actually do it, in all honesty, if I want to appeal to the public and a mass audience. But I'm not going to get any enjoyment whatsoever from inserting that into the game. It'll probably burn me out, because I don't like it, so I'd get burnt out, and then I'd get fed up and stop doing it. The reason why, in case some people are curious, how I've managed to carry on for so long, without, stick to it, stay motivated and so consistent, it's because I'm making sure that everything I do is something I actually really, really am loving in every aspect of the creation. If there's something I don't like, if I'm not enjoying it, or something isn't matching with my vision, I'm going to change it so that I can enjoy it again. You got to put your stamp on the design and final say, otherwise you'll get such a mishmash of weirdness, it'll have no cohesiveness. Apart from the name Carol the Barrel, best user contribution ever. Yeah, that was Binary Ferret. Binary Ferret thought of Carol the Barrel back in the day, all the way back in the very first stream. I remember that. You won the poll because I was asking for barrel name ideas, and we had quite a few, but Carol won. Carol was the favoured one. But it's just so important, guys. I'm very aware that, especially as more people come in and want to be part of this, there's going to be ideas that get sort of decided, design-wise and mechanic-wise and story-wise, that aren't going to connect with absolutely everybody. Some people are, but I don't like that, no. But I have to like it. That's what matters, and I curate it. My job is to look at all these ideas that we've got and pick out the ones that are going to work and make it cohesive. That's a good word, Binary. Because otherwise, like you say, mishmash of stuff. And if there's something that's unique, then if it works and I'm like, yes, I like this, then I'm not going to say no, am I? I'm going to go ahead with it. Do I get a gold star? Yes, you do. You do indeed. So just going to say, guys, you gotta realise it's my decision. I'm the boss. And that's it. Simple as that. There's not really any more to be said. You do get a gold star. And you got a Caroline mate as well. Today's coming up binary fairy. How have you been though, binary? Have you had a good weekend? I hope you have. Oh yeah, what will we do? We write where Father May put it stands in the transition zone between. Mia, thank you so much for that host. How are you doing, you wonderful human being? So there's certain bits here that that were discussed last stream about where Father Maple could be standing in the forest, like where his location would be, because there's been a question mark for him where he is, whereas the Lakefall tree, we know he's in the centre, he always has been. So we were talking about where he could be, and in all honesty, with this, there's no split thoughts and ideas. There's only one place it makes sense. And I'll be making a new map zone for him. He'll be like in the transition area a bit further out, and the reason for that is because there's going to be a change, a blend in scenery, because Everbloom Forest is very green and the farm is very autumn, and it's going to be that sort of mix between the two, this particular zone, is because we want to blend the areas well. We don't want to just be like, here's a super green forest, and then next scene you're in like a really red place and there's no transition. Personal way I would like to design this is make sure it's all blended well, because we've got seamless maps as well. We don't have cut-offs with our maps, so that's a cool thing to think about, that blend in the transition. Yo, weekend was great. Spent it on own game, trying to make some time to work on personal projects rather than just work all the time. That's nice. Spent it on your own game. Are we allowed to know about it, or is it a secret? I was losing my mind a little working on projects I don't have control over, so making some time to get the... Oh yeah, like binary is just saying exactly what I was saying, just like... I cannot express how important it is that Raindrop Chronicles is always mine. I make the decisions, you know, like the community, you're wonderful. You've come up with so many cool things that are going to make this even cooler. You'll get credited for that in the credits. But I overall have the say in how it goes. Because as soon as I lose that, I'll be like binary described, you start to just get, becomes a chore, doesn't it, binary, when you don't have that control. And you need that project that is yours, completely yours. We got a short life, everybody, here on this earth. A friend of a friend, I don't know them personally, passed away from a brain aneurysm last week. They were 40 years old. You don't know how much time you have left on this planet, so just make sure that you're happy every second on it, because if you're living your life for somebody else, you're a slave to a company, and you're a slave to a boss or another person, or it's not your best life. You're not living your best life, guys. And I know it's not always easy to escape. Sometimes you need to pay the bills and that, but work on your dreams. Don't stop. Because we don't, it's got deep all of a sudden on this stream. But it's just, I'm so passionate about that. I'm like the biggest advocate for like creative freedom on the entire planet. I mean, I'm sure there's others out there that are the same as me, but I am like so anti being a slave to corporation and all that sort of thing. Also brought a violin this weekend for that reason. Can't play. Always wanted to put myself off thinking what's the point at 36, but decided to do it just for fun. I'm proud of you, Binary. I'm proud, you know, just do it for fun. And what's the point at 36? Another thing I read online this weekend which really put things into perspective was it doesn't matter how old you are when you start something new, something creative or something new. You don't have to be young. So that's another thing as well. Another gold star. Yeah. So yeah, don't let age stop you as well, anybody. I don't think you're past it or your time's up because you're not 20 anymore. Just live your best life. Make sure that if you're getting stressed, if you're like, I don't like this bit, I don't want to do this sucks, change it. Change it so you do like it. Oh my goodness, I'll get bashing this everywhere. Right, is there anything else to add here? Maple trees are technically red, right? Is that a fact, or can you get green ones? Let's get accurate here. Because right now I'm feeling a question mark with that one, but because it's a transition zone, it could be either or. We could have it more ever-bloom forest, or slightly going into the autumn, or we could go full on autumn for it. With several stumps. It's going to be very dark, this area, very haunting, very different from the rest of Everbloom. Because there's an evil tree here. Not going onto that line, maybe that's because there's no room. Meeting fitting for convo that just ended. The idea of a playable flashback could be cool. We love flashbacks in Raindrop Chronicles, don't we? I mean, we did one with the barrels. Sometimes it's going to be essential because sometimes you need to do them to show bits off that's necessary. Playable flashback though, how's Somia? Oh no, I'm curious about this one. Pretty cool, kind of a throwback to the, yeah, in Final Fantasy 9, right? Welcome back, Van. Welcome back. I'm just adding a bit of extra description of some of these trees, like, because we didn't go into where Father Maple was once stood. Well, actually stands, not once stood, is still alive. I'm just reading some notes. And yeah, the reason why they use that section to chop up wood is because it's a shorter distance. That was Met's idea, which is pretty cool. So I'll get that idea in after though, because there's a bit to add for that. I need to think a bit more. Okay. Just gonna go through some notes and read something. I think this bit's at the bottom. There's just more stuff I'm thinking about about Father Maple. I mean, the light bulb tree. Okay, so I don't know what stream this was. It was a few streams ago though when we were talking about this tree. There was quite a lot of ideas you guys have had about it, and that hasn't been added yet. So yeah, there's more that does need to be added to this section before it's ready to be put up properly. So I'm thinking of starting something new now. The Stumpy side quest is more or less, I think, there with that, so that's in the Discord. And we're sort of halfway through with the trees, so I'll revisit that later, or I might finish it off stream and then get it popped in the ideas channel. I'm gonna open a new one now for us. We're gonna do something else related to Story Suggester then, of course. I'm thinking we won't do this thoroughly today, because this is actually going to be one of the things we need to originally I thought we'd do this at the end, but I'm thinking we should can't speak, that we should visit it today. So what should we call this one? Main quest, maybe? I'm gonna get an outline in, folks, for the main quest, and this is gonna be very, very, very rough around the edges right now. Very, very, very much a rough outline, because there's gonna be a lot of bits that aren't yet decided, gaps to fill in. Especially towards the bits that we haven't discussed yet, but I think it'll be cool because we might come up with some ideas from that by thinking about this outline today. So let's copy that bit because it's a bit shorter. So I'm not going to go into like thorough detail with this. I'm going to just sort of talk about the key parts. So let's give it a new colour. Nungi, how you doing? Hiya. Hello, my JNSN. Which app are you currently using? This is draw.io. But it's also called diagrams.net as well now. You're great too, Nungi. Thank you very much for the kind words. And we got to get rid of Stumpy's text. We don't need it for this bit. Okay. So main quest. We've done main quest 1 and 2, as most of you know. So I'm gonna get that in first. I'm going to put in a short description of each of them. Let's go in our law Bible, because I think I do have a 1-sentence summary for each one. You're welcome. I hope you're having a good Monday, Mai. I might need a toilet break in a sec. In fact, yes, I will have my toilet break right now. Be back in a minute. Okay, I'm back. My goodness, you nearly got the big 500 by now. Congrats, top 100 on the leaderboard as well. That's something. Okay. Right. Where were we? Okay, so Law Bible, that's where we were. I'm just going to copy and paste the summaries that we have. So we've got the bits that we know in. Got so many tabs open. Yeah, I might need to expand a bit on these descriptions actually. The font messes up, so I have to like copy and paste in Notepad first. Yeah, this might be a bit more complex than I thought. I don't know if I want to write something super long in. Yeah, I'll just write a short summary like this, maybe. Right, so I'm getting super brief with those descriptions now. Right, so that's where we are. I could have got a little bit more detailed, but we would have been a bit longer. I might make those descriptions a little bit better later, but I'm trying to move on, get some stuff talked about. So we'll leave it like that for now. But I'm not sure how many main quests we're gonna have. No more than probably 5. I'm gonna put a question mark after that one. Because we haven't, everything from that point is a big blank. But there's a few things we do know about them that we have talked about on streams, and I'm going to get those details in because it might help us come up with some little events in between, perhaps. And at some point this week, maybe I'll talk about some of the NPCs a bit more as well, and we can start creating some NPCs together too. But I think it'll be smart to at least get everything we know about the main quest in so far, so that we don't come across anything that's going to clash against it potentially. Right, so we will be going. Yeah, I think I'm going to make this a bit more detailed, but I'm going to try and keep it as short as possible. I don't even think we need to put the meat, the fruits part in, because it's not like huge to the arc. Change that to who took them. She doesn't actually know where they are. Might not. Okay, so that's really the main points, I think. Okay, so that is some facts we do know about main quest 3, but there's a lot of gaps to fill in. I'm gonna get some boxes off this for ideas. So hi baby doll, thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to stream. Because that painting is going to trigger it for the villagers. Alright, where's our little Bible? There's something I wanted to check. Did I not add this one? I must have not added that to our main notes. It must be in my Google Doc then. So I'm just going to get that up. is so bizarre. I'm really confused because this was like a really key idea that was going to really massively be part of main quest 3, and I cannot find it anywhere. But I'll have to go from memory for now of what was mentioned, considering I can't find it. So okay, right, so I don't know if, I'm not sure who here remembers this. We talked about this. It was a couple of months back, maybe a bit longer than that. It was about when the reptiles go in the cave and disguise themselves as reptiles. That was what it was. A lot of us liked the idea back then, because particularly because it was comic relief, especially with Carol, because she looked utterly ridiculous dressed up as a reptile. And the reptiles totally wouldn't buy the disguise either, and we'd have to take it off because it'd be like, we know that you're not reptiles. But realistically, I could imagine an NPC like for somebody saying something along the lines of they're in the cave, but there's no way you'll survive if you go in there looking like that. They will kill you. They hate humans and you won't come out alive. So we have to get disguised. We have to find some items that we can use for costumes, and then we will put them on and go in the cave. Hi Chub, how you doing? It's good to see you. And we may need to disguise ourselves to when we go in the cave. Like at some point I imagine we take the costumes off, because our costumes wouldn't be convincing for long. But I think like the reasons behind I think why this idea is strong. One, because it's funny, comic relief, keeps the humour, especially if we're going to have some sad like quests. We want to bring in that light-hearted, those light-hearted memorable moments now and again. So that's one reason, just an excuse to have some funsies. Two, because it breaks up the monotonous dungeon cave trudging experience a bit. It's something you'd remember. Like, remember when Carol was dressed as a reptile? Coding the fishing mini game. I was trying to think of a good one there, but I failed, Chub. I was gonna make an epic joke, but I failed. When I'm 1,000 years old, that's what I'm gonna say. That's when I'm making a mini game. When I become an immortal, I'll make it then, Chub. How are you though, Chub? You need the old roach can talk experience. Okay, so we may need to go disguise ourselves. Okay, so instead of that, an NPC, a lakeful NPC may advise us to disguise ourselves when we go in the cave. So this is all like the main quest 3 stuff really. Maybe we need to have more of a gap here so that we got more room in a bit, but that's what we're talking about for now. So I'm going to just move these main quests down a little bit. We've got some room. We're planning the outline for the main quest, everybody. We're not going into real detail today, because I think this is something we need to revisit properly and smooth over ideas for a bit later when we're close to the end of this story suggester and stream stuff. But I want to at least begin it and get a few thoughts down first, so that we at least have an idea of what it's like before we jump into any NPC creation, because then it might bite us on the bum if we've not considered it at all. How are you doing today, Queen? I'm doing okay, Neffel. How about you? Member request that is funny. Want to know a fun little fact? When I was making those tweets about fishing minigame on Twitter, I was fishing in Final Fantasy. I'm not surprised. I bet millions of people all over the world were fishing at that exact time that you made that tweet. So, a lakeful NPC. They believe we wouldn't, I'll say, disguise ourselves as reptiles. Oh gosh, I cannot write today. But as disguise ourselves as reptiles when we go in the cave, they believe we wouldn't make it out alive, looking like a human, which is believable because reptiles hate humans. Why the hell would, it be safe? It would be damn foolish to just go in their cave and think that, that'd be a smart idea. So, disguise ideas. Reptile disguise ideas. I would have fun making the assets for this, to be honest, especially Carol's. So, leaves for wings. Vines for their tails. Green. Oozy stuff. I don't know what oozy stuff. Some oozy forest stuff, but I can't think quite yet. For green face paint. So the first objective could be, if we were going to go with this, would just be find the ingredients. Like we'd have to I suppose we'd have to craft the disguise ourselves. So that could potentially be the first objectives. And then when we get the items, we've got the disguises and we can put them on. And Carol would not be happy. Imagine Carol's reaction when she has to wear this. She'd look ridiculous. And we don't know who else would be in our party at this point. I mean, we got a hero and Rose. I'd have to make some custom hero assets, which I don't mind for the sake of this quest. But anybody else who's in the party, if we do get a new party member, which we don't know at this point, but we might introduce another playable character from our playable character list between where we are now and going into the cave. There might be an opportunity to do that, to have that third official party member, obviously because Carol doesn't count. Okay, so that's that. If anybody has any thoughts off that, feel free to say. Right, as for anything else, would be what would happen in the cave next, I'd assume, would be the next stuff. Thoughts about what could happen in the cave. We'd meet. What have we got here? So, when the party infiltrates the cave, the supposed reptile base of operations, which is probably what the humans might have told them, they may find it's a form of defence, and some humans try to execute them. We meet Rex in the cave and find out he's planning a resistance against humans. He's a cleric, etc., etc. Reptiles look to him as a leader and fight for him. When we meet him, maybe he orders an attack on our party. Yeah, okay, so that is something we can get in. Eventually, we will come across we can either choose to spare them or kill them if not sure what would happen dialogue-wise if we spared them. I guess we would have persuaded them enough not to attack us. They don't believe our disguise. So at that point we might just take it off, maybe. So I'm thinking of how that could go, how all that could go, because the choice is inevitable. We're gonna have the choice, because that will be what sort of shapes you as a reptile sympathizer, or the opposite. If you killed a lot, you're making reptiles be your enemies. But if you don't, if you spare most of them, you're on the road to becoming a reptile sympathizer. Evil characters could just use a real reptile. I'm doing fine. Also today I had a job interview, but after I heard everything I stopped being interested in it. Oh no, what did you hear? No, that's awesome now, Neffel, that you got that, but that sucks that it turned out to not be what you wanted. Hope you find something else that's nice and better. Put that first, actually. And other than that, is there any more notes? Yeah, the baby reptiles. So that is... just going to get that there as a reference. So, a reptile that kidnapped Carol's family has a baby living in the cave with him. He has resorted to such crimes so he can provide for his family. Now, this is the guy who actually is in the painting. Will be in the cave. We will find that guy in the cave. I'm going to also put, we will see reptiles' way of life in the cave and how they they have made there. And what we will know, I mean, looking at our notes here, things aren't exactly what they were told. Things are very different from what the humans like for made out. Because it is the commission-based job and I don't like it. Oh no. Well, yeah, that I say you did the right thing, Neffel. You wanna do something that makes you happy at the end of the day. So I hope you manage to find something that does, because you deserve better. Okay. With all these boxes, I'm literally writing everything in my brain that I know about this part of the story so far. And main quest 4 and main quest 5 are a big blank at this point. We don't even know if we'll have a main quest 5. But I want to get in the sort of end, because we did talk about how things will go at the end. So I want to get that kind of in. But it's still very vague at this point, and there are a lot of gaps to fill in. We kind of do have an end game idea, which will be who populates Lakefall, of course. And it's not, the hero, you as the hero don't directly choose who populates Lakefall. It'll happen more naturally than that. It'll all depend on who you sort of decide to stand by in the events to come. I prefer to have a stable job where I know how much I will earn, and on this one, if I won't find any clients, I won't get money. Oh, I don't blame you. I think you were definitely right there. You want to have some stability, Neffel. That one doesn't sound very secure. You did the right thing. So we don't know, we haven't decided any of the reptile NPCs in the cave yet. The only ones we know that are going to be there are Rex, the one that Rose does a painting of, who did the job for Chub Cheeks, who kidnapped Cal's family, and his baby. They're the only ones. So we've got a lot of reptile NPCs to make and create. Lots of different personalities, different beliefs, different opinions. We can make a really fascinating culture together, guys. We should do the best job ever. Okay, so NPCs living, reptile NPCs living in the cave. I'm gonna make a list of them now. Rex, the reptile in the painting. Well, I'll say from the painting, because people will actually think he's in the painting. Put roses just for more clarity, because eventually we will recognise him and put 2 and 2 together on who he is. That reptile's baby. So there's potential stories there to develop, others that we don't know. So I want it to be considerably populated. I think that would be good. Give us a chance to get to know lots of different reptiles, because we gotta convert the player to the side of the reptile as best as we can, right? Obviously, we're not going to be biased. We're going to make sure there's some likeable characters in Lakefall too. So I'll put lots of question marks there because we're going to have more. Maybe even more. That's it. I mean, maybe he has a partner. I mean, if he's got a baby, he's probably got a waifu, a reptile waifu. Reptile baby's mother. But they're not going to be the only family in here. And with Rex, there'll be others. Like some of the ones that he's named fighters that will be unfortunate casualties, there'll be some as well. But if you keep those casualties alive and spare them, maybe there's a chance to get to know those NPCs that wouldn't have been there if you didn't kill them. Yeah, I'm going to keep that there just because it's relevant. And there was an idea National had for the baby, so that's there on that part as well. I'm going to bring that in as well. That will bring them both in. Because it's the only idea we've had on the baby so far. So it's the one that we're going to look at and consider if we don't get any others. But I think for sure the reptiles are going to be born from eggs. I think at this stage it seemed like it's been shaped towards that direction. Is anything else in that relate to this? The pilgrimage. Put that in. A reptile with no tail and wings, yeah. He could be an NPC there. Yeah, and then we have to consider reptiles' lifespans as well. I think that'd be cool, as well as what happens when they have children with humans. If the woman is the reptile and if the male's the reptile, what is the difference in what happens biologically there as well? So I'm literally just bringing everything relevant to the reptiles here. It's all very rough at the moment because I don't want us to miss any important details we've kind of discussed. It might help us shape the NPCs that live in this cave, because that's what main quest 3 is. It's the time we get to see the reptiles' culture and way of life. We get the opportunity to meet reptiles, shape them as fascinating characters, create a bit of lore for them. Once we get deep into those tunnels, we'll be able to have like almost like a little settlement there in the caves that they've made into a home. And something will happen that will lead on to main quest 4, of course. I'm going to talk about that in a bit, because there is an idea for endgame and how to close things up, but there's a lot of gaps there still. And there's things to fit in, like how we'd fit in this love story, the reptile-human couple romance, which I imagine we could have first caught a glimpse of on our way to the cave. Maybe we catch a glimpse of them having a little kiss and cuddle on the way to the cave in a little secret spot somewhere. That could be our first glimpse. Maybe we run into them a few times before the potential tragic ending. But then there's the bittersweet ending, which would happen depending on certain factors that we'd have to decide. Hello, Zexy and Guysicle. How are you guys doing? It's lovely to see you both making oodles of progress. We're doing our best. We've sort of moved on to... I'm making an outline now of the main story. Very rough. Just any thoughts about the next main quest, really. Because this just reminding ourselves of what's going to happen next might help shape some side quests or Lakefall NPCs a bit more. We're exploring the reptiles' way of life now today. I've brought in some relevant boxes for that, because main quest 3, the next main quest will be when we go into the caves, and that's where the reptiles live. Because our trail has led there. Our trail leads to the caves. We have a motive for going there. Carol has a motive for going there, because turns out a reptile kidnapped her Barrel family. So we get told by the Lakefall villagers that the reptiles live in the cave. At that point, when we show them this, we ask them about this reptile kidnapper. And there's just a few thoughts we've got to think about: lore, way of life in the caves, and all those fun things. Hi Matt, how are you doing? It's good to see you. But Guysicle, how's life for you? I hope you and Alice are doing well. I miss you both. But yes, feel free to have a little peek at the notes we've made. I've even made notes of main quest 1 and 2. Anyone who hangs out here a lot probably knows what happens in main quest 1 and 2. Main quest 1 is basically when we meet Carol and Rose. Main quest 2 is when we find out about Carol's backstory and that she has a connection to Rose. Rose was a witness for when her family got kidnapped. She knows stuff that Carol's desperate to know, but turns out Rose doesn't speak. She's like a feral vampire. She's like an animal in the way she communicates, so she can't get much out of her. About information. So luckily they find an easel in the forest, which allows Carol, as soon as she sees that easel, she demands Rose to paint a picture of who took her family, because Rose might not be able to talk, but she can certainly do this. So she paints a picture of a reptile. And at this point, reptiles are introduced to the story for the first time. We might have heard about them from dialogues from Lakefall NPCs a bit. We might have heard a little bit of brief history right at the start of the game before we saw this picture. But we will ultimately head back to Lakefall and ask the villagers if they recognised. I'm going to highlight that as human villagers, actually. Well, they're all human. I mean, that's what we know. But yeah, so they'll freak out probably. I'm trying to get into the mind of how they'll be, and it'll remind them of the past. It'll make them not be very happy at all. It'll probably be the point in time when the player finds out more about this war, because they have literally provoked the human Lakefall villagers to talk about it by showing them this painting. And you'll get some I mean, before this time, like the first time we was in Lakefall, they probably won't say much. If they do, it'll be pretty vague, because they're probably not going to just talk about it completely up front to a random stranger. They might say bits, but nothing of great detail. But at this point, we actually show this paint the reptiles. They'll have a reason to talk about it, so we might find out more then. It's going to lead on to one of the NPCs advising us that we'll probably need to disguise ourselves, because we'd be killed, we'd be murdered on the spot as humans going into the cave. Reptiles wouldn't have that, so we get advised to find a disguise, and this is just for comic relief. It's going to be very silly. Carol the Barrel's going to look ridiculous dressed up as a reptile. Some of the community had this idea months back, actually. Somebody brought up in chat, imagine if they disguised themselves as reptiles. How funny would Carol look like that? So they would find these items and craft them for the costumes, and then they'd go in the cave. Eventually they'll come across Rex and some other reptiles in the cave, but obviously they don't buy the disguises because the disguise is stupid. Carol the Barrel's probably been complaining the whole time about the disguise. I'm trying to picture how she'd react to that, but she would look very silly and she probably would complain a bit. And then we get the choice of whether to fight or spare reptiles, and that decision is going to be massive to what's going to happen later. We might have that a few times. It might not be the one and only sole time. We don't know yet. That's what we've got to talk about. And then eventually, I think once we've bumped into the reptiles, I mean, if we get on with the reptiles, I can imagine if we spare them, we'll get an opportunity to sort of see their way of life and look in their home, spend time, talk to them a bit. If we kill them, would Rex let us in their home? Maybe not. Maybe he'll send us straight out. But that would mean we wouldn't find out who kidnapped Carol's family. So it might be very important for the plot, no matter what, to end up talking to the reptiles in their home, you know, because we need to find out. We need to find out who this man is, this reptile that kidnapped them. We'll need to talk to him. So in the tunnels, they'll have like sort of made a way of life there, a little home, a little settlement in there. It's going to be very different to what the humans made out. You guys have said that, you mentioned it in the notes. I want to get all that stuff in. I'm only like halfway through getting all the notes and stuff because there's so many. But yeah, it will be different. It's an opportunity for us to create some really cool lore here on how they live. We got a lot of freedom and cooler things. It's very open right now and what things are like. And then there's even NPC ideas. There's a lot of opportunity to create a village of reptile NPCs in this cave. And I've listed the ones we know so far. Rex, the reptile from Rosie's painting, and that reptile's family are the only ones which we have a little bit of information on here. Chub Cheeks won't be in the cave because he's our antagonist that we're chasing. He's our ultimate goal. Wherever Chub Cheeks is wherever Carol and the family are ultimately. So we wouldn't find him as quick as now. He's like our sort of who we're after. But we don't know Chub exists. Chub's character exists yet. We probably won't find that out until we talk to the reptile from the painting. I'm going to catch up with chat first and we'll talk more about this. When you say run into the couple before main quest 3, would you want the player to see them? Or would you want them to actually interact and talk? See, that could go either way. Whatever works best design-wise and narrative-wise as well. Whatever's going to create more story impact, I'm all for. And anything that works and fits. So we could go either way. If there's a chance to have a scene there, we could. I mean, if we ourselves talk to them, it would change things a bit because somebody's discovered this forbidden romance. They might not like that. It could work if we're looking from a distance at them and observing the scene. Their relationship remains a secret that way. Because they might freak out a little bit if somebody found them, especially people dressed up as reptiles. They'd be like, what's this? We're breaking out, yeah. And but you know, if something works, I'm up to potential ideas for both. Where would we have the father of Stumpy had appeared? It would be after the caves, after we look for a way to get out of Lakefall to continue the pursuit of Carol's family. Right, so Father Maple isn't really part of the main plot thus far. He's going to obviously be a key part of the narrative because he's going to be our moral guardian if we're evil, and vice versa, if we're good it'll be the Lakefall tree. So they're both like very key to the whole game itself, those two trees are. But he's not showed his face yet, and he's not really part of the plot yet. Whenever he shows himself, maybe a bit later, probably more towards maybe he could introduce himself in a side quest, but maybe it could also be towards more the end of episode 1, considering he's on the outskirts of Everbloom Forest, that transition part between Everbloom and the farm. So yeah, he would be after the caves, really. That would be the answer. We wouldn't have saw him on the way. We wouldn't have seen him on the way to the caves. He'd be a little bit further out, much later as we're heading towards the farm, but still in episode 1. I imagine it'll be like one of these quests, probably. We don't even know if we'll have a main quest 5 just yet, but it's there in case we need to. Do you know right was going to play a game with friends this last weekend but didn't coordinate well, so we rescheduled to Wednesday night. Oh no, well I hope it's fun on Wednesday. What game's that going to be? It'll be great to emerge from the cave still dressed as reptiles and wander back in Lakefall. I mean, oh gosh, I'm so sorry guys. That was my water bottle. I got excited from what National said. I got all excited. But yes, I mean, that's something to consider as well. Like when we're disguised, it's obviously going to be very silly. The disguise is like we're purposely going to obviously not look like reptiles. That's part of the comic relief here. But we want to keep that wacky humour ongoing in this saga, because we've done that so far with the barrels and fruits, and we're going to keep that going. But yes, it's going to look very silly. The question is, when do they put on this disguise? They could do it. Maybe you even have the option to put it on in Lakefall, and you'll get some reactions from NPCs if you do that there. But you can also do it outside Lakefall as well, and then you won't see the NPC reactions. What would some NPCs say if they saw the disguise? Imagine if some stupid ones believed it and was like, no, they're here. It could be quite funny. And maybe if the player explores the home of the human, I mean, don't get me wrong, the fact that we'd have gone all out and designed these assets, reptile disguise assets in the first place, makes me think, why not wear it the whole time when we're in the cave? Why do we have, if we have this, they don't believe our disguise, why should we take it off? Let's wear it the whole time. Let's wear it the whole time and go back to Lakefall dressed as that. If we, maybe we get the choice to leave it on or take it off, and things happen differently depending on if you take it off or leave it on. Maybe if the player explores the home of the human member of the love story before doing main quest 1, can be overhear the brother telling the human lover they need to stop going into the forest so much because it's dangerous because of the lizards, further reinforcing that the forest is dangerous, giving an early hint about the reptile-human conflict. That sounds good. Zexy, I'm glad you mentioned this, because one thing I've been wondering is how to very cleverly integrate that story arc into the main quest without it being forced. Like have little trickles of revealing this to us throughout the main quest, and then it'll hit us hard if the tragic ending happens when it does, because there's been a development there from the start. So I'd be totally for having a little little short scene like that early on in this area before we even head into the Everbloom Forest to find Fiona. Because that is where we are at the start. We're in Lakefall, aren't we, right at the start of the game, and there's an opportunity there to overhear some NPCs and listen to a few things before we walk across that bridge and into the forest. So we could have our first little reveal of that relationship then, as Lexi says. I'm important to show up. Yeah, Chubcheeks' character, like, he's like the first antagonist of the game officially, but one who's a mystery. Like, we don't know of him for a while. He's like this mysterious figure for this stage of the game, but will eventually, our path will lead to him because he is where Carol's family are. So he is like the sort of path we're following right now, whereas Rex's character we're thrown more into meeting him straight away because he happens to be in the cave with these reptiles having the home. But Chub, I mean, be interested to see if he gets mentioned, your character Chubcheeks, in the cave. Where are we? Or whether nobody mentions him. I mean, obviously that he's going to have to get mentioned for us to know the next trail, because somehow it's going to have to lead to the farm, because that's where we're going next. Beyond episode 1, we're going to the farm, and something is going to have to take us there. I mean, Carol knows that was where the cart got hijacked. But maybe there's another clue. Maybe that reptile is like, we don't know what happened to that cart after he took it and Rose bit him. Any possibility could have happened. He could have got injured and stopped, and something else could have happened. But whatever it is, the farm is the next destination. That's the next piece of the puzzle. And I'm still a bit of a blank there on how it's going to be, but I'm sure we can get something to fit. Are the reptile disguise going to be an equipment item? If so, I vote for alternative dialogue and maybe, I don't know, higher item prices out of spite. Equipment item. Yeah, I haven't really thought. I mean, I know that we'll likely have to find items as an objective and craft them. And I assume they will probably be equipable. But I'm not 100% sure yet. It's whatever's going to work best in terms of, coding it and RPG Maker, what's going to fit best, what's going to be the easiest job for me and stuff. But alternative dialogue and maybe higher prices of items out of spite. So what higher prices and what alternative dialogue? That sounds interesting. There was another bit of backstory for Father Maple from last stream. Yeah, he sees the trees get used for wooden houses. He could also just love squishing humans and animals. Reptiles don't squish as good, and he's not so bad with them. Yeah, he would definitely hate humans more than reptiles. I think he probably doesn't, because we mentioned this last stream as well, that reptiles are probably in the cave 99% of the time because they wouldn't want to come out because of humans. They're a little bit scared, in all honesty, probably. Rex is probably one of the braver reptiles because he's the resistance leader, and eventually it's going to lead for them marching out that cave to take back Lakefall. That's going to be the end game. But right now they're probably used to hiding away in the cave and have been for the last 17 years. But that doesn't mean they never go out. Now and again there might be the odd reptile that has gone out into the forest for some reason or another, hunting. One's got a little bit brave maybe now and again and tried his luck. But all in all, humans are much more common around that area where Father Maple would be. There'd be a lot of human woodcutters there. People who are wanting to trade the wood with the nearby farm. And and stuff like that. I think I mentioned that last stream, which was a really cool idea and a good reason for why that area of the forest has so many trees chopped down and not the rest doesn't. It would be because they're lazy and they just want to get it to the place that's closest to the farm, which is that area. Lakefall and the surrounding area is a little bit far out and they might not be bothered to carry it. Yeah, reptiles probably wouldn't squish as good, actually. I imagine that humans are far more squishable, for sure. And he does. That's why he hates humans, because, you know, as you say, he's seen the destruction. He's watched it in his tree. He's seen it all happen. His trees getting chopped down for wood and furniture. And he's very angry, just like the fruits are very angry that their families have been turned into blueberry pies, etc. Maybe Rex could pretend not to see through the disguise, but then mention that he does have offhandedly at the end of conversation. Like, at first he knows we're not reptiles, but doesn't know if we'll fight if we know he knows. Yeah, that's something to consider for sure, like what he'd really think seeing a bunch of jokers trying to dress up as reptiles. Like, is he a serious guy? Or is he someone that'd go along with it? I mean, he blooming despises humans, so he probably wouldn't have much patience for such a disguise. He'd just be angry because we're a human as the main player, the player character. But we have an opportunity to sort of like melt his ice cold heart a bit towards us, and by becoming a reptile sympathizer and sparing his kin. I think if we made that choice, if like there's a dialogue option, spare them, kill them, something we say in the spare them option would soften him a bit. But yeah, it's not going to end well with the kill them, that's for sure. And I'm trying to figure out at this point in time how on earth we'll be letting to the reptile settlement in the caves if we've killed them. Unless we do it the other way around. We go in at the reptile home first and Rex comes later and sees us in there. And that's when we get the choice to spare and kill. And if we say kill, we get sent out the cave. It might make sense the other way around now I'm thinking about it, because realistically, why on earth would he let us walk into his home and settlement if we've killed them? So maybe he comes after we've been there a bit and looked around and talked to reptiles and done some side quests and stuff. Thank you, Tiny Beak, for that one. Doggy Bitty, I appreciate that. Let's catch up with chat. Maybe Father Maple knows, found out that Chubbs was responsible for him becoming sentient, so that leads him to be more lenient to lizards overall, or he hates reptiles just as much because a reptile is why he's self-aware and suffering the emotional pain of the other trees being cut down. So Father Maple it would be cool if he linked in somewhere, if somewhere along the road he gets brought in very naturally to this story that we've got here. But don't forget, the Lakefall tree isn't part of the main plot either. So we can't neglect the Lakefall tree either. The Lakefall tree and Father Maple are the same, in all honesty, guys. They are just... Father Maple used to be just an enemy in the forest, but now he's not. He's a narrative. He's the same as the Lakefall tree. He's like a part of the story now, more prominently, just like the Lakefall tree, and they are going to work as moral opposites and potential guardians for us. I've got to get that tree. So there's a lot here to read about the trees. Now I'm going to get that in for you guys. But there's a few unfinished notes, which is why I haven't posted it yet. But yes, neither of them have been put into the main quest so far, that's for sure. They're both just ideas right now. They're both separate from it, but they don't need to be put into it, but I feel like by Endgame episode 1, because this is kind of what's going to happen, if your hero sways more towards good, you're going to be summoned towards the Lightfall tree, and you'll get his item. And for Father Maple, it's the other way around if you sway more towards evil. And it has to be near the end, because you would have built some compassion or lacked some compassion by that point, and you'll have one or the other by that time. But yeah, a few little things have changed with the trees, because the trees were very, very convoluted last stream. There was a few ideas, some that I actually personally really liked, the carryable item one and the cutting down of the trees, but they were unnecessary fluff and making things extra convoluted with this general item idea that we had, and basically everything else that's written here. So it has been changed a little bit, but the vision is the same. They're trees, morally good, morally evil trees that are like parallel to each other in the forest, and they're both like very, very old and have a lot of knowledge. Thank you for the snowman, Biddy, and thank you, Elder, for that follow as well. I appreciate it. I'm gonna catch up. Definitely one of the best examples of the ever-blooming spell gone mad. A huge, awesome evil tree. I know he is so cool. He is a cool character, that's for sure. And I'm really happy to make him more part of the narrative then, because before he was literally nothing but a spawnable enemy. And he's got so much more potential than that. And in all honesty, he wouldn't easily be killed. He's a bit OP for us to fight at this stage. I mean, whether that happens eventually, I mean, might not even have to happen in episode 1, because there's kind of an arc there that we got going with these trees. They might have to not die. At least not at this stage of the game anyway. If we're going to use them for fast travel and saving our game and for our mentor guide from the item that we get from them, then it works the same as how the carryable item was going to work, basically, but the only difference is they're not dead, they're alive, and the item's just an extension of them, which we use to communicate with them. Having them die was just unnecessary, it just felt, because it's like, well, if we're going to get an item anyway, then. And wasn't a Father Maple a boss? No. The fruits are the only boss that we've got so far. He was just an enemy, like an enemy that we were going to fight in the middle of the forest after Stumpy, originally. But yeah, he's definitely boss material. Let's be honest, he's like end game boss material, in all honesty. Never mind just an enemy. He's like full on epic. He's a legendary tree. Maybe not quite as legendary as the Lakefall one, but he's like definitely second. He's for sure. For the disguise convo, I mean, or why we're here. Let's go back to this so you guys can actually read what we're doing. I mean, if you put on the disguise while in Lightfall, then the humans have different dialogue towards you. And since you're emulating reptile fashion, or what the townsfolk think is reptile fashion, they think you're a reptile sympathiser. So they rise their prices at the storehouse by, yeah, that'd be funny. But, I mean, some of them would know, because some of them would have communicated to us that we have to get to the cave, and they're the ones that advise us to disguise. We don't know who that NPC is yet, but one of them will have to be the one that does, because otherwise how would we even know there's a cave, and how would we know? You know, so one of them would know, but there's probably others out there that don't have a clue what we're doing, and they'll probably freak out at the sight reptiles. But I like that idea, having the option to put on the disguise in Lakefall or outside of Lakefall and experience like a few reactions from the NPCs from wearing that disguise at the least. I mean, yes, we could do that when we get out of the cave, or it could happen before we're in the cave. Whatever works best narratively for happening first. That reminds me of a game I used to play that was made with VXA. So really, what was that called? Deadshot. What was that one? I'm intrigued. Okay, so what have we talked about? We talked a bit about the disguise. It was very irresistible not to have that one as something that we do for the main plot, because let's face it, a cave dungeon, trudging through a cave has the potential to be very monotonous. If we don't, we got to make an exciting venture here. Let's make the cave journey fun as possible. So when somebody in chat a time ago was like, yeah, what about if we're disguised? What if Carol was dressed up as a reptile? I was like, And everybody kind of liked that. Everybody had a bit of a giggle of the idea of Carol dressed up as a reptile in particular. And how Carol would react to that. That we might struggle to get her to calm down over wearing such a thing. And comic relief is just good. Stops things being boring. Candy Void, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. And as I said earlier, we've been having a lot of feelsy, sad, very tragic quest ideas last week. It was all about the tragic, which I'm a big fan of, but it's good to balance that out with the light-hearted moments in between. Sometimes even mysterious or intriguing moments as well are good to do as well. Because then I feel like when you're feeling different emotions, that's good. It's good to do that. And then when the sad things do happen, it's even more impactful because they don't happen all the time. Another from last stream, all the townspeople are in hammocks inside the original 2-story buildings because they can't sleep outside with Father Maple, with Stumpy acting so awful. The Stumpy quest storyline gets us to Father Maple. Yes, Stumpy. I loved the ideas last stream of the nightmares of Stumpy and the idea that if you sleep on the hammocks, you have a bad night's sleep because you've heard the squeals loudly. But if you sleep in the inn, you don't have that. I think that's a very cool idea to experience that as us ourselves. We have 1-story buildings now. I did last week change them to shorter buildings. I wasn't sure at first. I was kind of skeptical about changing them because I thought they look a bit silly being too stubby and short, but I did do it and they actually look okay. I only lowered them down by 1 tile. The hammocks will probably be on the trees, probably on the tops of Lakefall, on the sides, and I'm thinking of expanding, making 2 extra maps on the side, so that it's possible to walk up there. And there needs to be enough hammocks for the NPCs that are living in the village, and I think the tree space we've got will definitely be enough. And the inn space is very limited, of course. We've only got like 2 or 3 beds in the inn. So, and not even Nigel or Fiona sleep in the inn beds. It's their business. That's for the visitors. And I sort of can see that being possible, National, that the Stumpy quest leads to Father Maple. The only thing is the Stumpy quest is a side quest. It's the perfect side quest because Stumpy's not any link at all to the main quest. And we need to fill the world with very meaningful side quests. But it works because Stumpy and Father Maple have that connection, so it makes sense to link the 2 together that way. But maybe the Stumpy quest is just an expansion on the Father Maple character. I see it as that too. But we'll think a bit more because we've got more to talk about for what's going to happen at the end game, and that might trigger some ideas. So, but the simplest way I have for the introduction of Father Maple so far is that he summons you if you are more evil. I don't know how he'd be summoned, how you'd be summoned. I'm trying to sort of get a visual or idea because that's just a very initial idea here. But he'd summon, like he wouldn't have been part of the plot at all unless you bumped into him on the map yourself by walking up there. You would have seen him then. But other than that, the way we've got it so far is that at the near end game, at some point he will summon you, you will talk to him, it'll be part of the main quest, this part will, and that's when you'll get his item because you gain the evil item because you're more evil. And it's the other way around for the Lightfall Tree. If you're good, you'll get his instead. And of course, if you change throughout the adventure, because obviously that happens, you go from evil to good or good to evil, the little item, whatever the item's going to be, well, that'll be something we decide together. Chat, we'll get all creative about that. It will wither away and be replaced with the other version, and then the other tree will appear and like become your mentor instead. Okay, so I'm going to catch up with chat because, oh my goodness, I'm very behind. Elite, how you doing? Long time no see. Welcome. How are things going, friend? Hope you're doing well. A baby reptile. He or she's like, you're new. Let me show you all my rocks. Yeah, let's talk about the baby reptile, folks, as well. Like, National had an idea for the baby reptile, and that's the only idea we've had. I think it's pretty interesting. I'd love to think about that, what this baby reptile's actually like, other than him being a baby. I think it'd be really cool if we got attached to that baby, or at least had some sort of sympathy for the dad of the baby reptile and the fact he's struggling and had to resort to crime. And I've got like a bit of light on this, it's annoying because the window's shining through. Maybe if you kept things all the way you planned originally, if you choose to kill the reptiles at the house and they don't let you into the cave because they see through your disguise, you get to put on a quest to find the real disguise, maybe magic to get into the caves, or you convince the lovers to help you because the reptile lover is a secret way. He sneaks out to meet the human. That's that second one. I even prefer that one because it's a way to develop those characters. I'll always choose the idea where it means character development. So that could work too. For sure. Like, either way at the moment could be a thing. I'll kind of keep them together at this stage because it's whatever works best narratively. But I do like that idea of getting help from the reptile, human and reptile lovers, and growing to like them as characters more as well. Would Nigel be most likely to tell us that we need the disguise, or maybe the reptile who's lost his wings could warn us that to prank us? Yes, we've got I've put that here actually because we had an idea, reptile with no tail and wings. This was all really cool. I made sure to make notes of this because you guys went really into depth with reptile amputation lore, and I thought it was super fascinating, so it's all there. I'm going to move across. And this reptile would be in the cave, I'd imagine. I can't imagine where else he'd be, especially as a vulnerable reptile who's kind of really considered subhuman at this point and looked down upon. He would hide away in the cave out of shame, probably. So there's potential to really develop that character too. Maybe even a side quest with him as well, because I would like to have a side quest or two in this cave. I think there'd be a good opportunity to get to know the reptiles a bit. As for who would tell us to wear the disguise, I'd imagine an NPC that we haven't made yet in Lakefall. I don't want to give Nigel all the stories because he's already given us a quest, and same as Fiona. And although Nigel and Fiona are very important NPCs in Lakefall, it'd be nice to share the love with some of the other NPCs as well that we haven't made yet, because Lakefall is reasonably populated. We'll be making another several humans at least, so we could give it to one of them. And maybe a nice human. A nice human who would want to help us and give us advice. Maybe the old man. Maybe the old man that needs the blanket in the Stumpy quest. Because we got to like that old man. Because we got to be tempted to help him over Stumpy. And Rabbit, hi. And I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so late with the replying to chat. I'm very behind. I'm gonna respond to everything now. I heard about you from Kahuna and thought this was a pretty cool idea. I will build myself, but for a book, not gaming. Hi. I hope you're still here, and I hope you didn't think I ignored you. I'm so late with replying. How are you doing? Welcome to the stream. But that sounds awesome that you do a book. Novels are awesome. Evil. Who would want to be evil? You. You would, Elite. It can still be a side quest, and if it gets resolved to the town's benefit, the people can all sleep outside happily again. There are so many opportunities for an evil good item, an evil good mentor, and isn't that also exactly what you wanted to avoid in the game? How do you mean, National? Avoid exactly in the game, so I can answer that question properly. And things are so just trying to keep my head up in all. It's good though. Have a home wife food, very blessed. Oh no, well I hope things get better, but it's good that you're seeing the positive and the good things in life that you do have. That's awesome. It's lovely to see you again. It's lovely to see you popping in. And what do baby reptiles eat? Would we need to mash up giant bugs if we have to take care of it? Yes, what would they eat? What would reptiles in general eat? That's something to think about. I mean, we talked about what the Lakefall NPCs would eat. The fruits. They'd eat fruits, of course. Probably wild or animals, maybe, as well, for meat. They live the very, traditional way of life. So they get their food naturally. But as reptiles live in caves, it's like mushrooms, cave mushrooms. What else is in caves other than dirt? But giant bugs, mash up giant bugs, that's pretty gross, but could definitely work as a form of food. The reason I didn't just suggest the reptile lover idea is because I wasn't sure if you'd want to gate any development on one side of the kill. Spare choice. Well, it's always, like I say, throw them out, the ideas, even if that some of them don't make it as a thing, because we can't always do them all. It's always good to add the options, and I like the choice and thinking what's going to work the best and what's going to be the most effective after all. So never be shy about saying you always have really cool ideas there. So and recovering from, oh no, you had the flu, Kung. Have a roof over my head and food on the table. I hope you get better soon, Kung. Flu sucks. Your camera looks a lot higher def, does it? Maybe I can't remember what I did. I probably changed some settings a little bit, maybe I did that a while ago. But that's a good thing. And add on to the baby rock collection idea. Maybe have some polished rocks you can find, collect, and give to the baby. Yeah, we got a bond with the baby. That's for sure. And it's still very underdeveloped at the moment. We've not got much there other than it being a cute reptile, just for cute factor. I like to have something narratively very cool with that character that just goes beyond it being cute. But yeah, my mind's gonna have to think about that one. I remember you saying last stream something along the lines of good and evil being present in a lot of stories and games, and you want to be more morally grey. Well, that's the thing. you can be in between good and evil. There's a scale. And that's the thing. That's why it's just because good and evil exists doesn't mean it's just good and evil. There's a moral scale of good and evil after all, and that's what our compassion sort of trait is, really. It's sort of, I visualise it as a sort of scale anyway, where you can like be an absolute scumbag who's absolutely bottom. If you do everything bad in the game, you won't be compassionate, because certain actions will make you lose compassion completely. And then you've got the other end where you do all the good things in the game, right? So there is a form of good and evil in terms of mechanics with our moral system. When I was talking about grey characters, it was mainly about the NPCs in general and making sure that they're very it's not black and white in regards to them, the characters, but it's still to a degree, even though we've got the scale with our playable hero, it's still, you know, it's not just one extreme to the other, there's in-betweens, and those morally grey bits are the heroes that do bits of good and bad. But it's always been the case that some quests would be locked out to you because you're a good hero, and some quests would be locked out to you because you're a bad hero. And it's kind of, we do have a good and evil in a way, but that doesn't mean that it's that black and white either. That you can have in between. And what super fruit friends? Yeah, we have some design. We have some masks for them as well. Feel free to have a look. Be curious. Elite, thank you so much for that sub. I'm just noticing that I'm getting all carried away rambling on about the good and evil thing. I mean, you know, our hero is a little bit more black and white than what the NPCs are. That's the thing with the hero. He's this blank slate that we're shaping, and he's a, or she, or they, because there's not necessarily a gender this. I'm gonna have to shut my curtain because it's blooming annoying how that light's coming up, so give me a minute. Okay, I'm back. That's better. Thank you so much, Ali. Let's have some hype in chat for that sub. I appreciate that. Appreciate that support. Thank you so much. Once again, it's a pleasure to have you pop in, stream, and hang out with us. Actually, since you made a tweet about minigames a few days ago, maybe have a type of item that you can collect and turn into a character. Each region has a different type of item, and they're not mandatory to find. That way players like that like exploring or collecting get that itch scratched. Exploring, definitely. That's kind of what it's become, because as I stated, our Raindrop Chronicles now, especially since it's the kind of game where you go to and from areas to do different quests all over the map. It's kind of like an MMO in Western RPG design wise now, more than a JRPG, like, because of the nature of it being a multi-choice game with different quests and stuff. So for sure, exploring is like literally everything about this game. But mini games, an item you can collect and turn into character. Each region has a different. My brain's trying to absorb that one. Each region has a different type of item, and they're not mandatory to find. Yeah, I'd like to know more about that one, because my brain's completely not absorbing it, but it sounds interesting. Because I'm for exploring and collecting for sure, anything that's that. That's why I play video games. But do you mean like a character who gets scavenger quest items from you, not an item that gets turned into a character? Yeah, I'm a little bit confused as well. Might need a bit more clarity. And I think I'm getting brain melt. So you know what I'm like when I get that. I don't get what's going on, basically. So I'll probably read that after stream. But for sure, feel free I can't speak, to throw ideas at me. Sometimes I might not always take them in on stream, but I'll like get my focus on afterwards. But guys, I just want to state as well, because this is a very ideas driven thing, right? We get a lot of ideas every day in the stream. I'm not going to be able to take them all on. And not only that, things might change too. Sometimes we'll have an idea and it'll get altered. Like the tree idea got scrapped with the carryable item, and the cutting down, that got scrapped. And that is ultimately the reason I haven't done polls yet for the story suggestathon. Because as I said on the very first stream, we're not going to do polls because things might change, and that would mess us up if we'd already done the polls. So that's why we're saving the polls to the end for things that we've got multiple ideas for example. So you have to realise, like I'm just saying guys, because there was a bit of a thing earlier on in stream where it seemed there was a bit of disappointment that a few bits got changed and we're going in a certain direction. But it's I decide most first of all, so that has to be made clear that as the creator I'll always get the say. But most of you I think understand that, because we have a lovely bunch of people here. Quest to build a mellow. What's that? I don't know. Thank you for that follow. I can't say your name. Are you a bot? If you're not a bot, then that's wonderful. I'm very happy. Final Fantasy VIII music. Oh, Final Fantasy IX, I think this one is. We got a song title thing now. So loads of cool RPG music in the background. Like maybe there are 5 rocks that you can turn and give to the reptile baby. Not a bot, yay! I'm glad. We've had a lot. I got follow botted a week or so ago. You see, 6,000 followers that were all bots. 6,000. I deleted them all after stream. I found a tool to delete them all. It was insane. So let's carry on reading that. So the farm area might have, I don't know, truffles that you can give to a pig. Yay, remember we have those pig characters, don't we? Number of items, what they actually are can change, but they're just there to hunt and find for without being an actual quest. Sounds interesting, because I said, didn't I? I've said a few times that every quest I want to have substance to it, and sort of evoke some kind of emotional reaction, whether it's feels or intrigue or memorability or laughter, and that. I want every quest to be awesome. We don't want filler. We don't want filler and pointless sort of item gathering quests. Fetch quests, I think they're called. Fetch quests are the worst. So your ideas actually could, having that be a separate thing, it prevents us actually having fetch quests, because we'd have it with that system instead, from what I'm gathering from what you're saying, which is cool, which is the sort of route we want to take if we're going to do that, rather than have it be a fetch quest. My bad, yay. Well, sometimes it's easy to get mixed up with the Final Fantasy tracks. They're all in one for me. Alright, so we still got time. We've still got time before the end. So I think before we... the thing that I'll want to discuss is potentially what's going to happen end game of episode 1. And of course, this will probably not just be the only event of what the end game is, but it's the only one so far that we know is going to happen, so it's important we get it down, and that will be when we get the choice. If I can copy one of these boxes. I'll just copy that for now because I want a box. So there's going to be a choice at the end. We've got all these bits in between to sort of build and write together to how we get to this outcome, but ending A and ending B, I'll just put that for now. I'll say choice instead of ending actually for this. And that is how am I going to word this one? So choice B, something to that degree. Would be choice B. That's like obviously if you stand by the humans. And there's a poll. Damn, where's my tweet? Why did I cross Twitter off? Because there's a poll that's super important that is related to this choice actually that is made. And I want to make sure we get as many votes as possible on this poll, guys, on the Twitter. Twitter's a good one for these very short sort of polls when it comes to getting lots of data from audiences. Because so we're doing this question of the week thing every week to get like data, and the more votes the better, of course. So that question is, who do you stand by, humans or reptile? There's a long history of hatred between these two races, and they're both good and evil. They both have good and evil in them. Neither of the evil race, and like humans aren't the good race and reptiles aren't the evil race, because I know in some stories that's how it is. Those are the bad ones, humans the good ones. That's not how it is in Raindrop Chronicles. There's good and evil in both. So, you know, it makes it a bit more complicated on who to side with. I'm still sort of from the last poll saying I was Team Warrior as well, Zaxi, and I'm still Team Warrior today. So that poll is really what this is here. Join Rex and the reptiles as they march out of the cave and to take back Lakefall. Now I think that makes more sense as choice B actually, so we'll switch that around. And it's all gonna kick off from that point, right? There'll be fights, there'll be deaths, and whoever's got the most survivors, and whoever you sort of stood by in this, will naturally be the one that ends up populating Lakefall at the end of episode 1, and that could have consequences in future episodes to come, right? Like, so whatever episode 1, 2, 3 and 4 etc stories are, whatever happens there, the fact that reptiles populate Lakefall, or the fact that humans do, could sort of potentially have an effect later on as well. So that's kind of the end game, who populates Lakefall, because Raindrop Chronicles is the sort of game that's going to change the world around you as well. It's not just you, your hero, that's going to change, and the people you meet, but it's the world as well that's going to change. Maybe you have a chance to completely change the government at the end. You have the chance to burn down cities. You have the chance to completely reshape things. And this is just the start, right? So this is kind of like the first little sign of the impact you can have on this world. And there'll be a time, I'm not sure how, because we've got so many gaps to fill in here. That is the only end game thing we know thus far, that's going to be a choice that we make. So from the whole cave scenario that we've got here to this, there's going to be bits in between. Either 1 or 2 more main quests. Now, I see this being the last main quest, of course. So if we only have 4 main quests, say, then there's probably not going to be much more that happens between here and now. But I'm okay for extending it if there's going to be substance. You know, if there's a good reason for making it longer and adding something that needs to be added. That's why I've added the extra main quest in case. But everything else, like the 2 trees, like we said, at some point, whether this is after the battle, like after that you've populated the village, you'll get summoned by one of the trees and you'll be given their item, right? And that'll lead to it being your form of fast travel and saving the game. And that'll also be your mentor that guides you as well. Yeah, so right now the trees aren't part of the main plot and might not necessarily need to be. Of course, there might be a chance to stumble across them. Everbloom Forest's maps are very open. There's nothing stopping you walking to the area where Father Maple is and having a look around, and a little explore of that zone. So if you're an explorer as a player, there's a chance you can find out a bit of lore about these trees from having a little dig and a little search. There'll be maybe even a side quest or so that is related to that lore that expands them. So yes, let's catch up with chat. Reptiles are very bad criminals, thugs, every one of them. Stereotypes. Such stereotypes. Even I'm a 100 at heart, I have a soft spot for warriors out there. Yay. Reptiles are clearly to blame for all the problems in the human kingdoms, their scum. Elite, I say, is a typical like full human. He could write. He could be very good at giving us some very nasty human dialogue. That's for sure. Because that is exactly the perspective that the villagers of like Fall will have about reptiles. So and didn't vote in character this time. Yeah, so make sure you vote, everybody. It's a super cool question. It's from the last time I looked, it was very close. The poll was like basically 50-50. So I don't know if it's like that anymore, but yeah. Actually, don't mind Hunter when it's just the poll was so one-sided. I think what it is that they didn't realise how awesome Warrior is in our game, Sexy. They don't realise all the amazing skills that Warrior's going to have. If they knew, it might have won. Choice C, follow reptiles and pay around them till they think they can pay and they turn around. Yes, imagine if that could happen. Imagine. And what would the ending be? I suppose nothing would change. Everything would be like it was at the start of episode 1. If I remember correctly, my character's trying to sow discord between the humans and reptiles to distract from his evil scheme. Yeah, we was actually talking about how the government could link in to the war of the reptiles and humans, actually, because they could have sort of, twisted things. Maybe we don't know whether there was a third party involved yet, but I could imagine would be, but that still doesn't mean that there's not strife between humans and reptiles. They still hate each other, but maybe a third party made it happen even more. But this war was 17 years ago, and you might have not even been in power then, but there's still conflict between them. They've just kind of laid low for 17 years and they're only just starting to come out now. So, okay guys, so we had a really important talk at the start of stream today about legal issues with the project, and you know, me as a solo developer, and people stealing ideas and stuff and all that sort of talk, like getting up to knowledge with legal stuff and things. So mainly because of that, I mean, everything's going to stay the same. We've got the community projects continuing because you know, why would we stop doing that when we enjoy it so much? But certain story elements will be unspoiled for you guys because we're making an overarching story arc now. We go back to the story section on the website, because the website did recently get updated with this last week, I think it was. There's a few little extra notes here about that not everything's going to get revealed on streams. Not like 100% of the plot anyway. There'll be like a small percentage of it that is my knowledge behind the scenes that will surprise even you guys when you play the game. Of course, that sometimes it makes things difficult because you guys don't know the whole end game here and what's being planned, which sometimes makes some ideas you have not possible. But still, I'll curate the ideas and any that fit best. If they're there, if I've made them public, your idea, then that means it does work and it doesn't clash with our plot, right? So there's only been, in all of our story suggestathon streams so far, we've had 5 of them now. There's only been an instance of twice when two of you have said an idea that's been really cool, by the way, that hasn't been possible to curate because it clashes with the overarching world. But it doesn't happen often. Most of the time you guys have an idea that works. And we have more information about the characters as well now, by the way, guys. So if some of you want to update your forms, like give a bit more of a detailed bio for anything that you're super passionate about setting in stone with your character, make sure that I have that form, because otherwise, because we get control of that character once it's set loose on us, you see. So anything that's in the form we follow, and we sort of shape that character that way. But if you've done a character and it's more vague, like very like not filled in, like a lot of gaps, then we really kind of get full control of however that character's shaped. With the more detailed bios, it's you know, we have something to follow there. So that's just something that I've recently put up, just so we don't have people throwing the tantrums, being like, oh, but my character should do this, but you didn't do it. No. At the end of the day, as we grow and get more character submissions, it's almost impossible to follow everybody's rules, right? We have to have some form of control, because then we're restricted, and you know, it becomes almost like a job, you know, for me then, like an actual job, and I need my creative freedom. So of course you can flesh out your character's backstory as much or as little as you want. I encourage that, and especially if you're involved in streams, like especially if you're here in streams, you're gonna be here to shape your character, and you'll be able to talk about how they'd respond to situations, because but you know, other than that, we get the control of them. Keeps everyone on the same page. Yeah, I felt a leak, like, as this has gone on, especially as we've had more people submit characters, it could just so easily blow out of control. Like, imagine when we have like 80 characters in the game, like, in the future, and every single person expected us to do that character in the same way. I'd want to quit. I'd be like, screw this project, I cannot go by these rules. So the creative freedom, like the characters, as to put it bluntly, the character you submit is our character, mine and the community's, to shape. So anything that's outside of what's been submitted in the form, we can do. So like, if we go a certain route and then a person was like, but I didn't want you to do that with my character, it's like, it's too bad because you didn't put that in the form. We've done it. You weren't in the streams for years, so you know, as an example, that's an example. So I don't know if this helped, but actually plagiarism that negatively impacts creators tends to be far lower than people assume. Ultimately, do what makes you comfortable and feeling confident in the safety of your ideas. Yeah, I know it's unlikely. Dog was in stream earlier, and I asked him, because as he is someone who's very experienced in the indie game industry, and I thought he was the best person to ask. And he even said something similar to you, Zexy, that it's very unlikely to happen with somebody who's creating a story like this. There's so many complicated elements, like nobody could pull it off to this level of detail and pull it off well. And as I said, it's better to not think about too much, because it could consume me if I get caught up in those thoughts. And the chances of it happening are like 0.001% anyway. Like, it's because I had a dream, to put it bluntly, I had a dream that EA Games stole the idea. EA Games named their next IP Raindrop Chronicles and had a barrel called Mary, but like all the plot had been stolen, which is crazy because EA Games don't even make RPGs. But you know, it was always going to be EA Games in my dream, wasn't it? And that was last night. It was crazy. I sued them to the ground. I got the community involved. We absolutely shamed them on social media for what they'd done. I sued them, got a lawyer, and they paid me, and I became a millionaire, and they were bust forever. That was the dream ending to that dream. The Dark Souls, good serpent, evil serpent being trees, and roots being the Lord Vessel versus your idea of the lightful tree being in danger of getting cut down. That was all really interesting. Yeah, and you know, doesn't mean we can't have a side quest or even part of the main quest where there is a threat of it getting cut down. Don't see why not. Doesn't mean that it actually does have to get cut down. It could be some, like, a plot that we bring in, that there's a threat, but something happens to stop that. That dream was the best. That one was too wild. Trying to get you to sell your IP to her. Yeah, never. I'd rather jump off a cliff than do that. Oh my goodness. But yeah, it was a terrible dream, at least the first half of it, but then it had a beautiful ending. But it did make me think, oh crap. Because I'd only fear that a super large company being super unethical and stealing it. Like, I don't fear some rando coming in the stream and stealing it, because they wouldn't have the motivation to do this project. You know, as we said, games take forever to make, people are lazy, they'd give up even if they had thought about doing it and stealing it. Oh Lord, what a nightmare. I know, right? But the idea itself for, like, you know, me, what we got here, me writing an overarching framework outside of streams, that's been on the agenda for weeks, for months now actually. I remember writing a tweet long about it to you guys a few months back. It's been on the agenda ever since I started taking this project more seriously, in all honesty, because this project means a lot to me, and I want it to make sense, and not just be a chaotic random sequence of events anymore that don't link together and are just stupid. I actually want it to have a skeleton that fits and has been thought out, something that by the end, or even in the middle or mid-game or early mid-game, there's parts that you're like, wow, that actually really fits together well. That actually really, it was a good story, So realistically, that has to be done, because otherwise it would just be a random sequence of events that didn't link. If I didn't make an effort to start thinking about that. And certain parts, I want to keep some in spoil, because I want you guys to be surprised about some things as a community. I want you to play the game and be shocked as well at some bits and how some things unfold. Okay, so I doubt anything will be identical to us. I know, that's why it was such a shock when there was a barrel and everything in the dream, and raindrops, and all the lore had been stolen. It was like, what? If you do want to go back to the idea of Father Maple ambling over into the empty hole where the good tree used to be, it would be cool if the third option was Stumpy there instead and becoming the Lightfall Guardian. So, like, good, bad, crazy options. I do like the idea of Stumpy having some really wild, epic ending, for sure. And Stumpy's still a bit of a question mark at this point on how he'd end, probably because he's a side character. And, if Stumpy became part of the main plot to that degree, it wouldn't work, because people would have had to have done his side quest. Stumpy's a side thing. The story stuff you haven't chatted about would be really amazing if they could come up. Well, it would be really amazing if they could come up with all that stuff, yes. And that's ultimately like why some bits need to be unspoiled, even if it's just like 4% of it that's unspoiled for you guys. Because something makes me very uncomfortable about revealing the deepest, darkest twists and secrets so early on in development. For anybody to happen across. There's just these certain parts, like I'm talking like a very tiny percentage here, that won't ever get talked about on stream for my own protection. But like we say, most of the stuff here, like 96% of the game, will be very openly discussed with the community and be part of our idea sharings. I'm very conflicted on what I would want, since on one hand it would be nice to have my character do something cool when the party meets them, but on the other hand I really like the idea of a secretive character that we hear rumours and speculation about, but then turns out he died before the start of the game and the other characters were hiding now. Yeah, and that's fine, mate. If you're not sure yet, then don't feel like you have to rush to make a character. Like, you can sit on it a while, even if you want to wait until episode 1 has come out and we go into episode 2. If that helps give more of an idea, then fair enough. Because something else to say, I mean, playable characters are now limited. Submissions are closed on playable characters, so they're not opening until January 2021, and even when they do open in January, there will be limited yearly slots for those and increased raindrop requirements for that. NPC will be the same. That's the 1,000 raindrops for NPC, because we can have many NPCs. This is a world to fill up with lots of NPCs, so there's no like restriction there, but for playable characters there is, you know. We can't have like an absurd amount of playable characters in our roster, so there's a limit for that now, because we were starting to get a lot. So that just, see you guys, there's no rush, and you can make your characters whenever you want, because this is a frigging long project we're doing here. Generally things are a lot more conjure with one person has the final quote say, good for you, Rose, sorry Stumpy, you're a side guy, not a main man. Well, I mean, you say one person, but there's some of you guys, particularly Vandalia, is what has inspired me to have this idea, because that put me on the track for wanting to do this overarching framework. And sometimes some of you have really cool ideas, and have took this project in directions I didn't even know it could be taken. And if someone says something really cool, I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna be like, yeah, this is worth listening to here. And Vandalia had something like that, so that's what's inspired me here to even go there. So it would, this project would have just been a silly you know, random, remember how it was before when we used to just write it randomly together, and it was all like, and we realised it wasn't working. This was way back last year now, when you just joined us, Elite and Zaxian. And I was like, yeah, this isn't working. We're going to have to get an overarching framework here. We'd started to realise at that point that it could end up just a jumble of mess and chaos. So, yeah, I'd been like thinking about that for a while. And then Van created a character, and was like filling in their form and stuff, and something with that character, like, you know, sort of clicked in my mind since then, and that's what's taken us in that route. So, oh my god, look at the time. Okay guys, should we go raid somebody? That'd be pretty cool. I think so. So I'm gonna hide the screen. Thanks for hanging out, everybody, and for the chats. And yeah, so I've covered everything we need to. Like I've mentioned, that's the endgame choice we have, with stick by the humans or the reptiles. So I'm going to give you that link on the Twitter again, guys. We've got a lot of gaps to fill in still with that main story, and I wanted to like talk about that today because I wanted to make sure there's a sort of framework there. But I think we'll move on to thinking about all the other elements we're going to fill in next, like, and fill it all out even more. Was there any trivia today? There wasn't. We've completely neglected the trivia while we've been doing these story suggest-a-thon streams. And hi Moonshadow, thanks for coming in. Hope you're having a good day. Let's do a trivia now. I say we do a trivia now then, just while I'm looking for somebody to raid. Is everybody ready? Is everybody ready to see the question that pops up in chat? Go get dinner. I don't know if it's quite ready yet. It's a bit of a late dinner today. Okay, get ready guys, because I'm about to enter in chat right now. I think Van wants to show off. Van is our Lord Master forever right now. I wonder if anybody's going to ever surprise. That's what I'm wondering. Okay. Okay, I'm going to put it in chat while I'm looking for someone to raid. There you go. Oh my god, that's the easiest question in the world. Lakefall. You know, I'm going to do a few trivias actually. I think we need to make up for the fact we've not been doing many. So, now's the chance, everybody. Now's the chance to beat Van. Okay. Who were the first 2 barrels that came to life? That's the hardest question, right? Nobody'd know that. Elvira and Hank, you got it, sexy. GG. Okay, so Law Bible, guys. If anyone wants to know all the answers to these, they're all in that Law Bible there somewhere. All our law's going to get put in there. So there's actually a timeline of the barrels. So let's give Zexian his point. Someone else would answer. There we go. Carol, Meryl and Woody were the next ones that were born. And then it was Oliver. So Hank and Elvira the oldest. Then there was a gap because they're the grandparents. And then it was Carol, Meryl and Woody. And then it was Oliver. That was the order. Every 3 months they were born. I quite like the timeline actually that we did for that. Right, I'm going to refresh my list again. I'll put one more in for you guys. Oh my goodness, what item of clothing does Meryl wear? Pink bra. Oh my god, that was so close. Yeah, so you don't have to say pink, like you can just say the bra if you want to be quicker, just so you know, guys, because it might slow you down to write out the full thing. You were so close, Kong. You nearly got it. Okay, let's go to Vagabond today. I've got a quiet following list today, which is unusual. But Vagabond's online, so oops. Are we getting? Sorry if we had ads in the background. Then everybody, I think we did. Better remember that. Yes. Okay. So. Okay, guys. I will see you soon. Wednesday. I'll see you then. We'll talk more about ideas and stuff then. Thank you, Zaxi. I appreciate the kind words. Thank you for all the support, everybody. For being awesome. Okay, take care, everybody. See you soon. Bye-bye.